Good morning and welcome to your Saturday morning waker upper. I am Alero Edu and this is Sunrise.
Welcome to our living room, and we are also welcome into your space. Maybe you're in the car right now, traveling. What kind of vehicle are you in? Watching TV right now? Wherever you are, in the boys' room, wherever. Am I marking a good morning?
The other room?
The other room. No,
yes.
That would be intrusion.
Okay. Well,
the other room is.
They may have us in the background, just hearing
just making noise. Just making noise while other sounds are okay. All right. Anyway, my name is Ayomakede. Good morning and welcome. Okay.
You had your cocoa.
Yes,
I saw you having cocoa.
Oh yes. I got my cup of kelkel this morning with a dash of honey. Thank you very much.
Good.
Have you had your own cocoa?
Yes, I have actually. Thank you very much for asking.
Which color?
You know, it's very nice with ginger, you know.
Yes. Cocoa is especially, well, any kind of spice really.
Oh, really?
Any kind of spice you choose.
Okay.
That you don't go and put strawberry inside cocoa.
Oh, you can go and put Okay. Right. This rebasing of the economy has got a lot of people so confused. I know it's been talked about. I mean, all week, people were talking about it on various stations, various programs. Rebasing. They say it is not that inflation dropped, because when you go to the market, prices haven't dropped significantly. I mean, if prices were to drop by 10%, that would be big news. Well,
two things I'm going to say, Alero. You know, there is this series that some authors have written, so for dummies.
Oh, yes. I actually owned one, Computer for Dummies.
Okay. So, one easy way to try to understand, just put, please explain, tell ChatGPT, please explain this rebasing thing to me like a nursery school student.
Okay, and it will do that.
That's
right.
One.
Okay.
Secondly, you know, we often say that what goes up in Nigeria hardly
never comes down.
I beg to differ sometimes. Because even in some cases, even when things seem to have gotten a little better at certain levels, on our part as the people, things don't really come down. Take the example, for instance, of name it, pepper, whatever it is, fuel price, you know, that's, you know,
it's fluctuating, yes,
you know, by market forces or whatever. At the end of the day, you find out that some prices just remain the way they are.
Yeah.
Some people just want to maximize profit. You don't blame them. But it's just the reality in which we find ourselves.
Our producer was telling us this morning that flour, what some Nigerians call flour, has gone down.
No, please say it in the way they say it in Ishekiri.
Flour has gone down from about...
say filawa. Flour.
It's not the one, it's not the plant we're talking about.
Flour. Huh?
Okay. Flour. The one from Buredi has gone from 80-something to 50-something. And this downward trend is not reflected in the price of bread or in the price of cake.
So on whom do we blame that?
Well,
definitely not
we the people.
We the people, thank you. So
we the people.
When economists are saying, okay, they are telling us the truth. The prices are not reflecting. And I always say something. We always look at the top. We always look at the federal government, always look at federal agencies. How about the states, for God's sake?
And how about the local government?
When they start collecting their own money, we will mobilize you people to go and talk to them. Particularly if you're a councillor or chairman of a local government lives next door to you.
In the meantime, 4 onions are still 1,000 naira.
Where are you buying from?
Market.
Which market? Is it the one that has AC?
That is called a supermarket. No, market, Oja.
Your own market must be very highbrow. We know where we buy. It's not far from us.
Who is we? I mean, listen to him.
We know where we are. I am a negotiator. I know how to negotiate. You know?
Lagos State, please, I would like an answer to this question. Why do some cars have number plates only on their rear end and not in front?
Okay, wait.
I know that the law in this country says that all vehicles, well, maybe apart from that of the president and those of the governors, maybe, and service chiefs, because I see sometimes there's a crest and then there's the crest is wearing a dress. That one I understand. But common people like me have number plates only at the back. And they are allowed to move around on Lagos streets.
Really? Are they
Why?
allowed? Are they allowed?
Yes, because they're going, those in my estate, they're going and coming. So that means they are, nobody arrests
while
them
I get to
or corrects them.
While I get the point that you're making, right? And you're absolutely spot on. Everyone, a good number of people can attest to the reality of what you're saying. I dare say that some of these people you are talking about who go around doing these things, they wouldn't dare do it in Benin Republic.
Correct.
They wouldn't do it in the United States, in Canada, in all these other countries that they escaped.
Correct.
So why do it here? It means there is little, if any, respect for their country. And we all shout and we say, I'm a victim of Nigeria. May Nigeria not happen to you. You are the one happening to Nigeria.
But, Ayo, if I know that I can get away with it,
why would you do it in the first place? It's the question I'm asking.
If you take me to court and fine me 100,000 this time, I'm not likely to do it a second time.
Says who?
But I will give a policeman 200 naira and he let me go.
Haven't you heard of, I don't know whether it's a politician or someone, he was charged with something in court, they fined him something, and he went into his booth, got out the fine money and paid in this country. So what are we talking about here? So sometimes because we have little, if any, respect for our country. We don't have respect for our own laws. Oh yes, the police have their own responsibilities, but can we cut it down? Do we need the police to tell us the right thing to do?
No, we don't.
Do your children have to? What if the children refuse to obey you? You are the cause.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Maybe I'm.
Okay. One more thing, Lagos State. Speed bumps on the streets of Lagos. Some of them are like mountains. So it now raises the question, did the government or Ministry of Works permit this speed bump in this location? I know a place where in a space of 100 yards, there are 6 speed bumps. And I have made this complaint to the SA Works in Lagos State, who said that something was going to be done about it. And I wanted to know if people needed permits to put speed bumps on roads. Lagos State, if you please answer those questions.
Well,
we'll
Lagos
be very, very grateful.
Lagos State, you are listening now, and of course the Ministry of Information and Information and whatever. Well, anyway, information and culture, whatever it is, you guys, that job is yours to answer. The question is yours to answer, but can we also speak to some responsibility? See, I go back to us as people. There are, Patrick Adenusi, for instance, will tell you that there are certain specifications for speed bumps. And for God's sake, they're not supposed to be hills. God.
Guaranteed to damage your car.
There are some speed bumps that can cause abortion. They are supposed to be.
I didn't hear that.
No, that's the way it is.
Those things are just meant to slow you down, not damage your car.
So you have to, it's supposed to be smooth up, smooth down. There are specifications for it. But if you go and ask one, let me not mention anybody's name so it doesn't sound like I'm calling Mufu's name, to go and create a speed bump, what are you going to get? That's what you're going to get.
Mufu.
I didn't mention anybody's name. That's just so it doesn't look like.
And a good news story that I heard 2 days ago, I think it was, a speed train, bullet train between Lagos and Abuja. 3 hours to travel from Lagos to Abuja.
Down from how many hours?
But I shudder to think how much is going to cost to ride in that train?
I'm not even as concerned about the cost as I am about whether the rails are going to be straight. Because if it is not straight and the thing go and do like this.
It's a bullet train.
Meaning?
So it's going to be well done. And we hear that all that they're waiting for now is approvals from the FEC and from the Infrastructure Commission, Regulatory Commission.
I've seen it.
And as soon as those approvals are received, work will start and it will take about 48 months.
I've seen a sniper, Alero. The gun of the sniper went like this and dodged buildings. So let's just be advised.
Yes, our menu for today: transformational leaders for national development.
Oh yes, that's one of my favorite topics. And then the sharp drop in inflation. Is it a sharp drop or sharp adjustment?
Did it really drop?
Well,
we're going to treat all those questions. Initiative to fight malnutrition.
That word fight, Sha. Anyway, you'll understand better later on. And then I hear there are benefits to donating blood. Well, you find out later.
And then we have an artist of the week to close the program as is usual. A very famous artist of the week we have today.
Is it Davido?
Burna Boy.
That's not nice. I just asked a simple, innocent question. We have to bring him to come and talk to you. And Ambe Barbie. You see that one?
So please just get your cocoa or your cocoa or whatever it is you prefer.
Whichever color.
And spend the rest of the morning with us. We'll be right back to start the program in earnest.
Okay.
Now let's get the show on the road. Assessing the state of the Nigerian nation for some. For some, there may be much to cheer about, while for others, the Nigeria of their dream is still a work in progress. From the economy to security, infrastructure to energy, power to politics, and the electioneering process itself, the general perception is that Nigeria, the giant of Africa, is still in a slumber. Awakening Nigeria would, in the view of many, take a lot more than wishes and rhetoric. It would need deft, political, conscious, and deliberate efforts by our leaders. You know, all those excuses of blaming the previous governments.
Our signature.
All those things now are safely tucked away in the past. We are living today. What is our nation like today? What kind of leaders do we have today? Are they leading us in the right direction? In fact, are they leading us in any direction? Because we always speak on this program about what is Nigeria's vision? Where do our leaders intend to take us? They never really tell us, do they?
By which vehicle?
Well, it's my pleasure to welcome two professors. One of them is with us in Lagos, Professor Taiwo Ojo. And he's a professor of leadership and strategy, and we are expecting Professor Ikechukwu to join us in the course of this segment. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Alero. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you again.
You know,
always a pleasure.
Let me start with that transformational part of our conversation. And you know, Alero just talked about, first thing she talked about was, look, where are we? Because when we talk about leadership, automatically creates the illusion of a followership, right? Is that what we have?
You know, thank you once again for having me. You know, leadership transcends across cultures. So our own culture in Africa is more of a particular, a king-servant type.
Even in a democracy?
In a democracy.
Even in our
Yes,
democracy?
it's like a king servant side.
Wow.
Everyone, you know, during the course of the week.
We've missed the plot, haven't we?
Yeah. During the course of the week, IBB launched his book, you know, My Journey to Service. You know, I'd been reading the book, so I think I was on 200 page, the number 200. And
already,
there's something I love about him. You know, we've been saying it over and over again in Africa. Put something down. Development started in Africa, but there was no documentation. We have so many professors in Africa. They are not authors. I'm not talking about academic journals. Author. If you want to do well in Western culture, in the Anglo, US, Canada, France, you must be an author. I know publishing books very costly, but you must be an author, not academics. Because there are people focused on the academics and the title. Because when you put your story in a book, it's like you are defining legacy. You might not know what will eventually happen, maybe when you are gone. So why we encourage our leaders to put their story together, because leadership is like what the U.S. former Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, before he died, he released his last book. And the title of that book was, it's 6-word strategies. You know, it was talking about the axis of leadership, how people just got into leadership positions and they became overwhelmed. And he released those 6 strategies. I will just go through them one by one. You could choose any leader that fit into that. You know, he said the first strategy was the strategy of humility. If you come down to Africa, you want to talk about any of our leaders that had that strategy, because I want to bring it practical here. Maybe Goodluck Jonathan. Strategy of humility, but people turn it to weakness. It's a very good strategy. Another one that he talked about was the strategy of will. He was talking about Richard Nixon, you know, during the challenges in the U.S. in the 70s, how he was calm despite the Nixon Gate and so many issues that happened. He also spoke about the strategy of transcendence. We all know the Middle East, Egypt, our Sadat. You know, he paid that huge price for peace between Israel and Egypt, and you see what is happening today. That issue has been lingering for the last 70 years. And someone comes in and says, I want to take over Gaza, I want to do this thing. People are condemning. He said, I don't want to make it lingering. I want to resolve it, because the essence of leadership is to solve problems, not to continue. So, you know, I heard us talking about the bullet train, fast-speed train, you know, and my joy, because it's a good news. You know, there's so many bad news now. It's a good news because when you have someone that is leading you that is a business-oriented, sometimes you might say his interest is given to people. You know, Nigeria, we do so many things. But the most important thing is, do that train from Lagos to Abuja. It will change a whole lot of things. Our flight that we go to Abuja paying 600,000, you know, all those things will automatically go down. What did America do? Well, America is still the #1 country in the world today, despite so many things that is against them. They put a lot of investment in infrastructure.
You know, Doc, there's a question I'd like you to answer. Because when I talked about, the first question I asked was about a leader-follower system, and you said what we have is a king-servant thing. So do we have a transition period? The reason I'm asking is, over the years, I mean, so many people have said the same thing, that we don't have that culture of leader-follower. We have that kind of boss, subordinate, king, servant, and all those other things. But it's taking us 25 odd years now 26. In this Fourth Republic. And here we are still talking about the challenge of a leader-follower system. What would you say is the delay? Because I don't see transformation happening without that.
You know, like you said, what is our leadership development, recruitment process? During the Abacha years, we were in the university then, and when he passed on, you know, the civil rights activists, you know, most of them, they went abroad, and they called them to come and do politics. Most of them said, no, they are not interested. So we left politics for the lowest of us. The moment you left politics for the lowest of you, before you get that power, it's like you are going into the mouth of a lion. You have to kill someone. So we gave political positions. Political positions define everything you are. Your businesses, every billionaire that you see in Nigeria is one government policy or the other. It's about, let me give something to my people. So it's a cultural thing. But we gave that space to those, the least among us. And you are expecting something. People that do not even appreciate intellect. Anything I operate in that field, people do not pay for intellect. The same thing, they do not want to pay for medical services. Lawyers are the smartest. They are very, because they're lawyers, they have a way out they can collect their money. But three major professions, the academics, the medical, and the lawyers. It's only lawyers that was able to probably get something. But the medicals and the academics, intellectual works are intangible. They are not things that you can hold. But our culture, we like material. We want to hold on to something. We want to hold on to something. And there's a lot of differences, about the leaders, followers. Our emphasis is so much on one president, one man. Every problem in Nigeria is the president. We don't look at our governors. We do not look at the commissioners. We do not look at the local government chairman. We do not look at the councillors. We focus on Abuja. Maybe because of our structure, I don't really know, but I know things will change because of the young people that are coming. They don't have patience. They don't have patience. They want to get things done on their own time. So we believe that the issue of vision, so many things, all those things are coming because, like you said, sir, we are 25 years into democracy. We are making progress. Sometimes we are coming back. But it's the communication gap. The communication gap is a major bane between leaders and followers. The trust level is low.
Well, we'll come to the communication gap, but there's something you mentioned earlier when you talked about General Babangida's book. When you talk about government giving some things to the people. I remember at that book launch what Alhaji Dangote said, that it was the Babangida government that activated the private sector.
Liberalization.
And even the president made the same comment when he said that he called some of them into Dorton barracks and liberalized the banking sector and the rest of it. So if we had that kind of system at the time, one of the challenges that I've always raised on this question is that of sustainability. You talked about transcendency all the time. We don't seem to have that culture. So that the moment one government comes in, it truncates what the previous government has been doing. Interestingly, there are those who would also reference that in the Abacha years, was that dollar...
The exchange rate was stable.
The exchange rate was stable.
Yes, 22 naira.
So, please, what have we missed over the years? Because if the Babangida government could be getting the kind of praise it was getting 2 days back from a good number of people that spoke, despite all the things that we have heard about, the Babangida government, and even right now, things that are going on Twitter. What do you think is the challenge here?
You said it, sustainability. In the UK...
But shouldn't we have a system that insists on
we have the system. We have the system. The greatest problem is the consequence. If you bring Canadians to come and live in Africa, they will behave like us. They are human beings. If you bring Americans to come and live, we are globalists, we've been everywhere. If you bring Americans to come and live in Africa, they will behave like us. If you bring British, they will behave like... If you take our people to go and live there, they will behave well. Because there is what we call consequentialism. If you do something wrong, you are punished or you are fined. So there's a tendency for you not to repeat it because there's a way you'll be punished. If you do something in America, 30 years, they have laws, they will get you. So what we are saying is, can we get biometrics? The first part to creating a new nation, how to know everyone is to get biometrics. And I'm glad that there's a progress. NIN, all those is a very good thing. If you can finish it off with population, we know the number of people in Nigeria. We are now up to 220 million. That 220 million is based on ESA. Someone wants to collect what is not working for. Our population, as I'm talking to you, is now up to 160 million. If they do the real biometrics, biometrics is you alone. And they tie it to your children. You can't escape. And that's the way you solve a lot of problems. But because our tendency is to look for a way to cheat the system. Reaping where you are not so is a cultural problem and is an attitudinal issue. You see, NOA, they are doing what they are supposed to do, but there's a gap. There's a trust deficit. People in government, I've told you, when you give the poorest in your class to lead you, they control your life. You might be brilliant, but they are your leader. They are your political leaders, because politics is tied to economy. If your policies is good, the economy is good. In the Western nation, in the UK, in the US, they have one grand vision. Any political party that comes, you follow the vision.
Yeah.
And that's one thing about Lagos State. Look at the state that are doing well in Nigeria. You might not like the people that are held position. All those things are sentimental. The current president, you know, during the election, we said, like, this man will win. They said, no, I don't talk politics because people, emotions, you know. Yeah. This guy has been tested. In leadership, you have to be tested. And if you pass, a bigger platform will be given to you. This guy was in Lagos. We all know how Lagos was. He created the system, the tax system, all those things are working. Was it not last week that he said Lagos hit $1 trillion tax, I don't know, achievement, LIRS. It was a decision by someone to make things work. That was over 20 years ago. That is why you see him as the president. And if you want to do well in Nigeria, I take you back to Lee Kwayo. You know, his own strategy in that Henry Kissinger book is the strategy of excellence. Excellence is one of the biggest problems that we have in this culture. Mediocrity is a way of life. When you want to do the things right, people want to cut corner and frustrate you.
Perhaps it is the challenge, sorry, Alero, the issue Alero raised the other time, that we always talk about vision. Yeah. Every time we talk about leadership on this program, we talk about vision. And Alero is asking the same question. If we don't have a national vision, then everyone, when Alero is in government, it is Alero's vision. Yeah. Alero leaves, Taiwo comes in, it's Taiwo's vision. So when are we going to have a Nigerian vision?
I believe we are getting there. Based on what we've heard and based on the work we do as a strategist, we are getting there. It's just that sometimes you get your vision when things are not working well. You get your vision when things are not working well. You do not get vision when you are living large. You get visions during pain.
You get vision when you are in problems.
When you are in challenges.
We are in pain now.
And of course, Nigeria has been in pain because we refuse to face the truth. You know, a typical Nigerian, they live fake lives. Our normal behavior. You just live, your normal life is not what you are living. Either to impress people, either to deceive yourself, either to just follow religious...
Why would anybody want to deceive himself?
No, that's our normal way. You know, Nigerians is not a leadership problem, really. It's a followership problem. Whether from home, whether we do things everywhere.
What we were talking about at the beginning.
Is a followership problem.
It is us. It is we, the people.
You know, I've told you, bring America to Nigeria, they will behave like us. Take Nigerians to America, they will behave like them. Because there's consequence. There are no consequences in Africa. It's not only Nigeria. You go to South Africa, you see the same thing. You go to Kenya, you go to Ghana, you go to Caribbeans. The same pattern. The same pattern. The pattern of self. Only you. Because we are very good individually as a people. Collectively, we are wretched. We do not collaborate together as people from sub-Saharan African culture. And we've done research, and it's the same thing. In one of my books, is there, Ubuntu Leadership. It's the same thing. We do things individually, doing well. Everybody is making money.
But together,
collectively,
zero.
Zero. And if you don't do things collectively, you can't develop. And it takes us back to the government. Everyone looks at the president. Yeah. You forget your own in your little space. On the road, all those things. You know, the traffic on the road is not caused by government.
It's not caused
by the attitude.
You know, one of the things that I find interesting in what you said, Alero, you're coming up next. When you're in the evenings, weekdays, traveling from Otedola Bridge, what we call Otedola Bridge, towards Berger bus stop. Yeah. Horrendous traffic.
It's blocked.
And when you get to the bus stop,
there's nothing to see.
Buses parking on the road. Yeah. And we have a government. We have local governments. We have traffic officers. Federal, state, and local. Anyway, Alero was saying something.
Yes, let's go back to what you were talking about, what Kissinger
wrote. Kissinger,
Yes. So we have a leadership now. Yes. How would you classify, in what cage or are you going to put them?
among our present leadership, or let me start from Obasanjo because we're talking democracy, so that we are neutral. Okay. You know, the six world strategy that he wrote that book, and 2 weeks after he passed on. Wow. He left the scene. That was in November 2022. I got the book, I was in the US. Like I said, strategy of humility, strategy of transcendence, strategy of will. Strategy of will, like Charles de Gaulle, you know, during after Second World. Strategy of equilibrium, which is Richard Nixon. Strategy of excellence, Lee Kuan Yew. That's what this present government is following. You have to be like a dictator to make change. Wow. And one leader that did it well, but the greatest regrets, is the father of my friend, is the sustainability. And I know Baba is not happy. Obasanjo is not happy. Because if he had sustained it from that 2007 to date, Nigeria could have gone.
How
he did well. He had that strategy of excellence. Because you have to be a dictator to make changes possible. Look at the Middle East.
How can you be a dictator in a democracy?
What is the meaning of democracy? Who created it?
Government of the people, by the people.
No, those are just normal slang.
Are you saying that Nigerians are ungovernable?
Nigerians,
a strong
Nigeria is a very complex system. Everybody with different motives. You do not know what is going on in people's mind. If you write a book, people will condemn you. If you do God, they will do it. It's our nature, no problem. If that strategy of excellence that Lee Kuan Yew did is one of the strategy, and the last one is the strategy. Let me list it again: humility, strategy of will, strategy of equilibrium, strategy of excellence, strategy of transcendence, which is and the strategy of conviction, the Margaret Thatcher style. You know, when it came to the conviction. If I want to compare the present leadership in Nigeria, it's the conviction and the excellence. Because when the president came and said strategy and the subsidy is gone, that statement was not written down. I hope you know. It was from a God sense.
No, I think there is still that a misunderstanding, in my opinion, of that. Here's what I mean. Before that government, this government came into power, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, as minister, said in the budget for year 2023,
no provision for strategy.
No provision for subsidy beyond June
2023.
It was already something that the government of the day, before this government came into power, already said. In my opinion, I just feel that the president just said, look, based on what, in fact, in that paragraph, which wasn't written down, said, look, the government, the exiting government has already done this. So he just said, therefore, subsidy is gone.
That statement that he made is the communication. That statement that he made is what is changing everybody's life now. We are elites.
What has changed?
We are elites. We travel a lot. You know, ticket price is very expensive. Everybody has, you know. This is the first time in a very long time in Nigeria history. At least some of us, I'm close to 50, so at least we've seen some things. Elites, because elites break or mar every nation, you know, and Nigerians elite have problems. I'm one of them. You are one of them.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You are one of them. Nigerians elite. This is the first time they are adjusting, you know, because the thing is eating them. I know, you know, like I said, pain is one of the things. It's during pain that you craft vision.
Anyway, I hope Professor Ikechukwu agrees with you. He joins us in Abuja studio, as I mentioned the other time. Professor Ikechukwu, Executive Director, Development Specs Academy. He's also Professor of Strategic Management and Human Capital Development. Thanks for joining us this morning, Prof. So here we are. We've been talking about, I'm sure you've been listening to us for quite a bit, perhaps even on your way. So we're trying to get, the conversation is about transformational leaders for national development. And so the first question that I asked Professor Joy here is, when we talk about leaders, it automatically connotes the image of followers. And Professor Ojo here is saying we don't really have as much a leadership problem as we have a followership problem. Do you agree with him?
That statement is open to argument.
I expected that, Prof. So go ahead.
So let's not mystify. Let's break it down as simply as possible. I am a father. All of us here are parents. If you have disorder in any of our homes, obviously parenting will be the issue. So let's keep it very simple. In any environment where there are human beings and there are activities and there are resources, relating with each other is one, managing the resources is another. To do both, you need direction, you need values, you need enforcement. In the absence of leadership, instead of a group, you have a crowd. Instead of a team, you have a band of, if you like, marauders. So my submission on the matter is that, yes, there's some element of, if you like, culpability for a bad environment with reference to the followership, but the substantive issue is this. In all human history, in every environment, even in the animal kingdom, once there is an entity that's clearly a direction-giving entity, sometimes with some measure of enforcement, there will be order. So to that extent, I suggest and insist that it would appear to me that leadership is more a fundamental issue than that of followership. And we have even our own historical experience to deal with. We saw Murtala, the president, he said. We saw the war against indiscipline, how all of a sudden everybody was struggling to be of good behavior. We saw P2B in Anambra State and a lot of things that came under control. We saw Jakonde, we saw Ajashi. So if we expect that in any circumstance, the leader who is presumed to be more enlightened than the followers would depend on the followers for direction, we are getting it wrong. But then somebody can point out that, look, Prof, listen, the people are asking for the wrong things. They want me to give them money, they are asking for contracts and all of that. So what do you expect me to do? What I expect you to do is to act like a leader, which is give direction. Ask yourself what they are asking for. If you start it and everybody does this, can you still have a society? The answer is no. If one of your children in the house or two of them are particular about having some things in their favor against their siblings, and you encourage that, can you have a home? Will you be a responsible father? So there's some measure of, if you like, moderated nastiness in leadership. And that is interpreted in terms of give the people what they need, not what they want. That's why you're their leader.
Okay, Prof, yeah, the leader gives direction, but the people choose to go in another direction. Consider the issue of fake drugs in Nigeria, killing people, disorderliness on the roads, all that confusion in our lives. It is not the leaders who are doing all that, it is us. And we've already spoken this morning about some prices are coming down, but the effect of that come down is not reaching the people because we, the people, have decided to profiteer on fellow people.
It's actually the fault of the people, of the leader. Let me re-emphasize the submission.
Okay.
It's the fault of the leader. Now, okay, here in Abuja you have traffic lights, you're in Lagos you have traffic lights. Part of leadership is the structures for public administration, for value enforcement, for containment of possible excesses. If, for instance, you go to London, I'm sure we're familiar with this, when the Hurricane Katrina occurred in the US, looting took place, cannibalism resumed. There was a power outage, I think, in one of the most highly respected cities in Europe. People came out to loot. They didn't come from Lagos, they didn't come from Onitsha, they didn't come from Kano Street. It's the same people who have been behaving well under, quote unquote, good leadership. And that's for the simple reason that the structures and institutions of state make misconduct unattractive. So if there's traffic light, I violate it and nobody gives me a ticket, nobody stops me, and the person who stops me collects money from me, and I, as leader, do not pay attention to recruitment and enforcement, the collapse of the environment cannot be blamed on the followers. It is enforcement which makes rules, first of all, fair rules, second, enforcement, third, impartial enforcement. That now brings confidence and trust to bear on the state. But even in the most organized environments with strict and known rules, the desire for misconduct will always be there.
Prof, just a quick one.
When you now begin to allow it,
my sincere apologies.
Begins to degenerate.
Prof, just a second. Is it simplistic of me to expect that Nigerians will behave. I mean, I
Would
said...
behave?
Yes, I mean, we just behave like good, normal people. The street light
First
is
of
there
all,
for our own safety. I mean, the traffic light is there for our own safety. We know that.
Yes.
So what is it simple? Am I oversimplifying it to say that, okay?
No, on the contrary, you're correct actually. You're not oversimplifying, but look see where the problem comes from. The traffic lights are there and we're supposed to obey the traffic light. Everybody, you and I who are big men do not obey the traffic light. We are setting the right, quote and unquote, right example for misconduct. So you find that when the reflexes of leadership is disruptive, does not follow rule of law, does not indicate that we take these things seriously, followers will also follow. It is that simple. Because assuming we're talking about a country on another planet, this is the same Nigeria where people behave well. The same Nigeria where if light was to go out when we were growing up, there will be an announcement that there will be power outage by the ECN, Electricity Corporation of Nigeria, for about 1 hour. So the issue of the traffic light now, place that against the fact that you're in traffic, a local government chairman, I didn't say the president, a local government chairman comes with a convoy, chases everybody out of the way, and goes. The governor does the same, the senator does the same, the House of Reps member who comes visiting in the state does the same. And I ask, what standard are we setting? Who are we mentoring? That's unconscious mentoring. If I'm in office, let's say I'm a senator, I come in from Abuja, I want to go to the village and say hello to my mother, and I go in a convoy of 4 vehicles, or 5, I'm sitting in one of them, there's a pilot in front, there's security detail at the back, and maybe, if you like, in some cases, an ambulance. And I'm doing 150 or 120 on a village road, untarred, a lot of dust, killing people's goats, with all my headlights on in the afternoon. And this is not a case of somebody with temporary insanity, no. He's a leader. And so our children are watching, and a lot of them are saying, I want to be like that man.
Yes.
My brothers and sisters, that is how we've created the followership we're complaining about.
But you know, so another thing in that regard, becomes unattractive
when big men and women do not display it.
Another thing in that regard,
so for me,
because essentially what you're saying is we automatically create the next set of leaders from the
by our behavior, yes.
By our behaviors.
Oh, certainly.
Okay, so
certainly.
Is there a way to moderate that? But you can answer that question in this controversial context. There is something that General Babangida called accident of history on Thursday, while he was during his book launch, and he said that that action was deeply regrettable. And that if he had another opportunity, he would do it differently. There are probably a number of people in leadership today who have done the same thing and have deeply regretted. But how do we communicate that regret in a way that the next set of followers will not do the same?
I think the first thing is we are all human and we can make mistakes. The decision to annul June 12 for me was unfortunate. But you see, that's why as a leader, you shouldn't always just be talking policy and the ideal. You must understand your operating environment. In every political situation, there are political forces, there are economic forces. Those determine the political economy of the environment. At the time Buhari Abiola won that election, there were people who didn't want him to be president of Nigeria. And you can understand that. Look, let's operate with a sense of history. You remember when he also ran into problem in traffic with some soldiers, he was pushed up, and he gave a very loud media, outcry. Why should they be behaving like that? Babangida should tell us who voted for him. I'm sure we've forgotten all of that. Now, you find that he also, at the time that election, the controversy was on, he left for the US. King Gibe was his deputy. Now, that's your vice president. You didn't know, he didn't know you had left for the US. You didn't brief him. And then, King Gibe raised the issues. People asked him, oh, it appears you didn't tell your deputy. He said, oh, he gave a Yoruba proverb. He said that, he's a very robust and cheerful personality. He said, oh, that in his place, they say that a bird does not tell another bird that a stone is coming. That was the most unfortunate thing anybody could have said. That's one. Yes, we all witnessed it. Second, the Oni of Ife. The Oni of Ife came out and addressed us on national television after visiting President Babangida and said, yes, they can now understand what happened. They can understand. Have we forgotten all of that? It's only the Oni of Katsina. He's a Yoruba man, presumably the leader of the Yoruba nation. Now, the political economy of the environment at the time was that there were too many forces. There were some powerful forces who overruled the true will of Nigerians. Now that happens. Now that can happen. You may find yourself in a leadership situation where even though you have the title, the configuration of forces around you force your hand in a certain direction, sometimes on pain of death. If you remember, Omar Moriyi's book narrated all of this. And Abacha actually was one who was in strong contact with the dominant political forces in the country, and they didn't want Abiola. Now, that's a few people saying that what you and I think, the fact that we forgot that it was a Muslim ticket, they forgot that we were excited that this bar will give us the Nigeria we want. It didn't matter to them
at all.
And they forced a decision. The elections were clear. Humphrey, also the chairman of the election body, got himself nearly killed because he was trying to insist. And so I will understand what is called sometimes the circumstance or twist of history on the hand of history. But I'll take it further to also say that sometimes that's also the time to say, here I am, so that others will say, there you are. Now, three factors. The decision was wrong, but subsequently it was mismanaged. Such that an election result that attracted jubilation all over the country, in less than 3 weeks, it became a southern project. How did that happen? That's what we are not asking us. How come the North, within a short time, withdrew completely from it? That the northern candidate lost to Abiola in his own place, in his own home. What happened? We're not thinking about it. So those are the things to consider so that we don't remain extremely idealistic without a sense of history in all of this. You must also consider Abiola's reflexes. That's what you call power politics. His reflexes, were they reassuring? He was going to be the president of the most populous country in Africa. He hadn't been sworn in, and he was talking reparation and threatening America. Have we all forgotten that? Global diplomacy watches out for the type of people they allow to head big nations. Reparation, a lot had been done to Africa. This amount will have to be paid to Nigeria. Oh, really? So let's not kid ourselves.
But that's what happened with Libya, Prof. That's what happened under Gaddafi. I mean, he was that kind of leader that wasn't wanted by the West, so to speak. And of course, we all know, what happened. At the end of the day, isn't it supposed to be about the people in that particular country as opposed to the influences from outside? Perhaps the challenge is what Professor Ojo raised here about what some other people have called the elite consensus. Because if there was that, would it matter what anyone from outside of the country wanted?
No. It would matter because the elite consensus you're talking about, if we are the elite here, our consensus could be with those who are oppressing our country, who are interested in our solid minerals. There's a consensus, for instance, in the mining and misuse of solid minerals in the north. Outsiders are involved, Nigerians are involved. So consensus in itself delivers nothing, except you find out those who are determining the consensus and what they are striving towards. Let's take a simple example. We say that democracy, that's the easiest definition, which to a very large extent doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But we say it's government of the people, for the people, and by the people. I agree. But many of those who make this, who give this definition, do not also bother to define the people. Take any of the political parties, for instance, APC, PDP, Labour Party. It is for the people. But when you look at the requirements for getting nomination paper, one party, it is 100 million, just to get a piece of paper to say I want to contest. In another party, it's 15 million. In another, it's 30. Is it still government of the people? My answer is yes. Which people? Government of the people who can pay because they have a lot of money. For the people who support them and who therefore get contracts when they become president or governor. and by the people who are part of this grand elite conspiracy.
Exactly.
Once we don't do this analysis, we'll be prancing all over the place, talking about, oh, they've denied us our mandate, the people, the governors, those we elected don't care about us.
Yes.
Please, they paid you up front. If I paid you 10,000 to vote for me, you collected the 10,000 and then voted for me and beat up those who were not ready to vote for me. What has happened is that I've paid you at the rate of 2,005 per annum for 4 years. You dare not call my phone. We finish our transaction up front.
Prof, have mercy on us. Please have mercy. Have mercy on us. Come on. Alero, go ahead.
Professor, let me take you back a bit to the example you gave earlier about the way our leaders and our big men behave in Nigeria. Seeing as that is how we behave, who is going to tell these leaders and leaders to be that that is not the correct way to lead? You have been in this leadership business for a long time. How much talking are you doing to the political class that even children who are in primary school are watching them and learning from their behavior?
I do that quite often, but let me give an example to reemphasize the point about leadership. I'll use 2 examples. Tinubu when he was governor and Peter Obi when he was governor. Tinubu became governor in a Lagos state that if you went to Akpogbo in the night, you're the one who has chosen to commit suicide. Olobo area. You just notify your ancestors you're coming ahead of your time. That's why you went there by 10 p.m., nothing more. Why are you laughing? I don't understand. So, these boys were totally useless. Some of them will make up to 15,000 back then, and that's a lot of money with which you can pay in advance for a car, a used car. By the next day, they've blown it all on drugs and some loose living and all of that. Now, Tinubu became governor. By some strange reason, those boys were found some things to do. I think Adeni Jadele was involved. They became part of the security of the environment. They are human beings. Left to themselves, they will do all sorts of things to survive. They were put to some use. And all of a sudden, they were enforcers of good behavior in terms of road usage and all of that. Their leaders were brought under control. Now you go to Anambra State. Peter came into a state where for 2 years the schools were closed down because after the politicians had shared the allocation to the state, there was no money to pay teachers. 2 years. Schools were not running in Anambra State under Mbadinuju. He came in, looked around. We are not going to share this money anymore. Schools, in any case, our schools should be doing well. We are known for that. But for them to do well, we need the right people to run them. Who are those who really run schools well? Well, the owners of the schools, mission schools, PTAs. Look, okay, let's just give back these schools to those who owned them before. He did that. He gave the schools back to them. I think one, he had predominantly Catholic and Anglican. I think the Catholics had more schools. They were given 6-point-something billion based on the number of schools properly calculated by him. The other, I think, were given 4.5 billion. So it's not take your school, no, he funded it and told them the teachers are now your personnel. If they are coming to work or not coming to work, that is your business. You are interested in good academic performance and morals. That's what our children need. 2 years later, Anambra State was bringing the best results in NECO, in WAEC, and all competitive examinations. What point am I making with that? Going back to your question. Paradigms. Once you set them and enforce them, they stick. Peter came in, every evening a cow is killed in the governor's lodge, and he asked them why. He said, oh, Your Excellency, because of those who will come back with you, a lot of people follow the governor home. That's how we've been doing it. He said, well, my friend, it's only myself and my wife that live in this place. People should go home to their own wives so that they eat the food they cook. This place is not a restaurant. He stopped the killing of cows. Now, that's the sort of thing. And it's not about P2B, it's about others who are doing the same thing. Schools, where the head teachers are doing things like this, enforcing discipline, insisting on seeing lesson notes. Corporate organizations where corners are not being allowed to be caught, among so many other things. Media houses where the organizations insist on balancing the views. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, we have some reactions from home. Festus Akimboyewa says, in President Tinubu's campaign and inaugural speech, he clearly laid out his vision to remove fuel subsidy, float the currency, create credit system, defeat insecurity, improve our economy, solve our electricity problems, give hope, unify and heal our nation. It is a great task, but Nigeria has a visionary leader.
Professor Enakana says, transforming Nigerian leaders for national development requires a shift in mindset, strong institutions, and active citizen engagement. By prioritizing integrity, education, and accountability, Nigeria can produce leaders who genuinely serve the people and drive sustainable progress. Jide Pratt has this one on the same trail. Very interesting conversation. It's really not complex. Consequence management is key. Law must be applied to all. We are just not ready.
Okay. Festus again. Festus is, he's very busy on Sunrise this morning. IBB did not annul the best election in our history. He also drove us down a pretty bumpy road, and we're still trying to navigate our way out of the storm he and his fellow politicians in khaki plunged us into. Blaming a dead Abacha who cannot come back to life to defend himself for the annulment of our best election is a sign of weakness. Well,
Professor Law Alpha C says the ecosystem for our recruitment process is fraught with corruption. If you can pay your way through, you are qualified to control the resources of the state. You call the shots, strangely amass wealth and live with impunity. And Skittish Money says our elite has failed to realize that the masses live by imitation. Imitation of the elites of society. I think that spoke to what Professor Ojo said the other time.
Yes.
Okay, well, Prof, okay, let me quickly come back to you.
Okay,
go ahead.
The point about integrity.
Yes.
Yes. I think one of the speakers spoke about the need for integrity, the things we need to have a better society. You see, without prejudice to the usual views about integrity, responsible leadership, I suspect that most of the time we are so inattentive to the environment that we can be described as delusional. And I'll give an example that appears unrelated to this. The Labour Party says we know they give shishi. I'm sure you're familiar with that expression.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
The understanding is that, look, we won't give anybody money in order to win election. What that party, in my view, foolishly ignores is that there are circumstances where shishi is mandatory. If you say you're not a wasteful person, I will respect you for it. But if you say in order to save money, you won't buy soap to have your bath, something is wrong with you. When those who should man your facilities are not able to transport themselves there, when you insist on volunteers, forgetting that transport is not shishi, is not bribery, it's necessity, you make it impossible even for those who are loyal to you to remain with you.
It sounds, Prof,
That is part of the crisis of the...
It sounds like consultancy has begun for the next election. Let's hold on to the car and take notes from you. But it makes a world of sense, things that you're saying, Prof. I mean, what is necessary is necessary. We're running out of time, so let me just take your comments here, Prof. We still go back to this. So it sounds like this whole idea of transformational leader or transformational journey of Nigeria, transformational journey of Nigeria's development is a long way away.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So
is it a long way away? Let me tie to three words. Prof spoke about needs. There's a difference between needs and wants. When you focus on need, you are a survivor. Most of our politician leaders, they are still on that level. Forget whether they are billionaires, they are still on the lowest level, survivor. But when you focus on wants, you focus on meaning, living a life of impact, doing things that you are not in control of. Today we just talk about Awolowo. Most of our people do not read history. Awolowo had challenges of education. He went to school in England. He wrote to the richest man then for loan, £2,500. It was not granted. He went to the UK, read. Most of our leaders then, they went to school abroad because of the exposure. Came back and they started free education. He turned the personal problem. And personally, when I was in my period, I just said it within myself. I will continue to help so many people to go to school abroad. And I've been privileged to have taken care of over 80 doctoral students across nations, UK, just to help them. I don't really collect money, because I believe that when that exposure comes, because most of the issues is the problem of the mind, the exposure is not there. So you don't even know what goes on in the developed nation. Okay. So you are in your local cocoon.
You are a local champion.
Sitting down and condemning the people in leadership. Meanwhile, if you get there, you will do worse than what they are doing.
Well, so Prof, this is part one. Well, Prof, your last comment on this as well.
Sorry, you said? I didn't get you.
You're passing shots on this conversation. Let's just call it part one.
Oh, well, a nation develops under good leadership. Now, in speaking of good leadership, you make a distinction between office holders and leaders.
Oh, wow.
People who are in office, who are holding leadership positions, who have worked out the right values for development, are implementing them and enforcing them and not allowing those who are misbehaving to get away with it, they will lead to development. That's
Thank
the
you
point.
very much.
So when you speak of transformational leaders and leadership, quite frankly, I've noted with some dismay that a lot of our enlightened persons who speak of transformational leadership, number one, they think they are the transformational leaders. Number two, they bring out the qualities of transformational leaders correctly. But they don't take the time to study the environment, identify the obstacles that make transformational leadership impossible, and then design ways of dealing with them. So you find that for decades, they will be going around making long speeches in halls. You know, in an auditorium containing 200 people, you make a fantastic speech, everybody is clapping, you believe you've spoken to the rest of the world. From there, people go to their homes. You are making no impact. Instead of looking for young people to speak with, to train, to give them a new mindset. So this talk up, if you get the best person to lead, and who has no capacity to withstand the economy, the political economy of the forces in the country, he will be swept away. Point I'm making finally is, do something wherever you are. If all of us do something we know to be good, because all of us are leaders, either at home, in school, as class teachers, wherever, you'll have a better society, and it will key into the bigger flow down from a great leader if you have one.
Professor Ikechukwu, Executive Director, Development Specs Academy, and Professor of Strategy Management and Human Capital Development, who joined us from our studio in Abuja, as well as Professor Taiwo Ojo, Professor of Leadership and Strategy, who was with us in our studio in Lagos. Thank you very much, professors. This is just a conversation opener because the issue of transformational leadership or leaders is one that we cannot stop talking about in Nigeria, because we are still looking for leaders who are going to take us to the El Dorado.
That's another city altogether.
Thank you very much. Sunrise will be right back with another interesting conversation. Do stay with us.
Okay. When you hear a sharp drop in inflation, sharp drop, it looks like it was going, and then there was just whatever that means. And I have also seen the president, talk about that inflation. Don't worry about the inflation figures. We are bringing it down. The audacity sometimes.
What was that, his expression again?
Okay.
All right.
No, that was. As that meme says, do like this. Do like this.
Drink cold water and.
Sometimes cold water. Anyway, let's get into the conversation this morning. So, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's headline inflation has dropped to 24.48% year-on-year in January 2025.
Or has it really dropped?
This is a sharp decline from the 34.80% headline inflation recorded in December 2024. So, Alera is asking, has it really dropped? Let's find out. We have two gentlemen, but we'll begin with one of them who's already joined us, Dr. Olugbenga Adeoye, a chartered accountant and lawyer. We also have Professor Ademola Rabiu with us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Let me begin with you, Dr. Adeoye. Alero is asking, let me ask Alero's question. The National Bureau of Statistics officially says that the inflation figures has dropped. So Alero is asking, has it really dropped?
I don't feel it in the market, Dr. Adeoye. Prices are still high in the market.
When I saw 24.48%, I was surprised where this figure is coming from. Because when you say there is a drop in inflation, what you are practically saying is that the things that we used to buy for 100 naira that are now turned to 300 naira. You are saying that it has now become 124,000 naira. I think there is a problem with this. I do not think that this figure is correct. I don't know where they got this data from, because if you go to the market, you still find things as expensive as they used to be in the past.
All right, let me ask Professor Rabiu the same question.
I beg your pardon. So, Dr. Adeoye, in other words, inflation has not dropped.
Maybe inflation dropped marginally, but not significantly. Because when you talk of drop, and somebody say, oh, the inflation is now at 24.48%, you then think that you must compare where you are now to where you were coming from. That's the best way to do your analysis. So if I was buying something for 100 naira before, and that item now suddenly become 500 or 400 naira, which is the real situation in the country. And that's been so because every item sympathizes with the fluctuation in the exchange rate. As long as you still have naira, dollar exchanging for dollar at 1,600, there are certain products that will remain where they were before. And so if you say there is a drop, maybe insignificant drop, that people may not be able to feel the impact in the economy.
Okay. Professor Rabiu, do you agree?
And partially. When you talk about price or drop in inflation, we have to look across the board. So we can't just isolate one. Look at food price, for instance. I mean, I've been in Nigeria now for the past 4 months because I lecture in South Africa. I bought a measure of beans for, I think, 4,000 naira. It's now 2,400. So the price of food produces has fallen significantly by as much as 50%. So I don't agree with that. Well, if you look at cement and some things, it has increased yet. But across the board, there has been a bigger drop in prices of goods and services across the country.
Well,
so we have to look at it totality.
Comparatively, as Alero said, okay, maybe take it this way. Sometimes the challenge is not whether or not the numbers are coming down. Sometimes it's whether or not, Professor Rabiu, they are reflecting on the spending power or capacity of Nigerians in most cases. So one example, just a second, sir. So maybe you can be able to answer that question in context. So as Alero said earlier, our producer was talking to us and gave the example of a particular product, a raw material of sorts that has come down significantly from like 80,000 thereabout to about 50,000 naira. But the price of the product is still pretty much the same. So it's not reflected in what Nigerians are buying. So where do we place that? Do we say inflation has reduced, but it hasn't reflected in the market prices? How do Nigerians understand that?
That's a very good question. In fact, what you just said now, there was a discourse, not a debate. I don't like the word debate. Discourse. We have this think tank for Asiwaju, PBAT, academics and professionals. And somebody raised the issue of the price of cement. And the professor said, why is it going up? And another professor responded that the cost of production has gone up. And I smiled to ask a question. Look at the profit before tax for these industries. Has it gone up for them? If it has increases, so somehow they've managed to rein in the cost of production to get it in, because that's what comes to price. So the big issue, like you are saying, in terms of development is, as these price reductions tells in the quality of life for Nigerians and the services being produced? Yes and no. But the question is why? How? Just look at our bank's PBT. Look at these cement companies, profit before tax as well. It has increased. So the question we should, I won't answer that question, I don't want to answer it, is that why is it that the significant reduction in prices and costs is not reflecting in prices? No, because the companies are making more profit, and profit is simply your revenue minus your cost of production. So the argument of increase in cost of production does not really tell the whole story. So probably we'll come to that soon, maybe, in this program or later on. Now, when we talk about deregulations, we talk about market forces dynamics. Where actually is that happening? I will really address our listeners to go and look at the 8 years tenure of Barack Obama. America is the foremost capitalist country in the world. But he said capitalism without some level of regulation is a disaster. I mean, I'm very close to the economic advisors of the president, and we're talking, and I know the effort being put in place. But I'm not really satisfied today with the level of regulations.
Well, you know, Prof, just 1 second. I will take it. I want to take this to Dr. Ade, because on the one hand, there's this proverb in southwest Nigeria that no one can consume almost in a pot of soup. I almost killed that bush meat. You can't find it in the pot of soup. So really, I mean, there's nothing to eat. So going back to that same question, Dr. Ade, and that one is for you. So on the one hand, certain prices come down, and other prices of that same particular product remains the same, but the total product price is not reduced. The example of flour and bread that Alero gave earlier, what do you make of it?
Well, Dr. Rabiu was talking about the profit after tax or net profit. I'm an accountant, and you know that there are so many factors that affect your cost of production, not just a single item. I just checked the last invoice in my office now, and I found diesel is 1,120 a liter here, PMS 940 naira. I think this is a general price in the public. And so if you look at manufacturers, you don't just carry the blame onto them. If there is no power supply from the grid to power the factory, it means they will look for other alternatives to ensure they have energy. And so diesel is one of them. So if you look at 1 million liters of diesel at 1,120 naira, you know that's what that results into.
Yeah.
So there are other factors. Transportation also is also a factor. Remember that the spare parts that you use regularly, like brake pads and so on, to fix the commercial vehicles, they are import dependent. Exchange rate is hovering around 1,600, 1,570, 1,580. I tell you, if by any miraculous, policy, we're able to do something about our exchange rate, it's going to affect almost everything. Almost everything. Because when you look at even the farmers.
Let me jump in. And I could just ask you a question before you go further.
Go ahead,
The
Doctor.
cost of diesel has actually gone. The price of diesel has actually gone down because it has been regulated for more than 2 years now. And as my brother is saying, I'm a cost engineer in any case, so I can talk about cost of production. All these costs you are mentioning would have been aggregated before you calculate your PBT or P after tax. So it's not a question of cost of production.
Prof, just 1 second. The reason, just 1 second, Dr. Adeoye, so that we put it in context. Prof, I do understand the take, but Dr. Adeoye is the one answering that question, and one of the reasons he's here is because he's a businessman, and so it's just perhaps to put some context into all of the theories that we have on our hands. So please let him learn, and then you can respond to some of those issues. Please go ahead, Dr. Adeoye.
Okay, so what I was saying is something very simple, that what manufacturers, what they do is to pass all their cost to the consumer. Determination of price in cost accounting, when you get to your break-even point, then you begin to determine what are you going to put as markup or margin on your sales. So we cannot conclude that because price of X has come down is going to result in total drop in how they fix prices. I practice as an accountant, and most of the companies' financials that we have looked into for 2024, you see increase in turnover, heavy turnover, like double. But in actual fact, it's not as if their capacity has doubled, actually. You see somebody that has done, say, 50 billion turnover in 2023, doing 100 and something billion turnover in 2024. It does not imply that that company is better off in 2024. In fact, some say they are better off in the 2023. But of course, for every policy of government, it takes time because of gestation period. So we are trying to achieve a free market, liberalizing everything, making sure that market forces determine prices. However, the government must consider the poor, because it will get to certain point that the poor will not be able to afford certain items. And that's where I always talk about public goods. If you want the people to enjoy the policy, public goods must be in place. Rail system, we must give it attention. Public transportation, we will give it attention. Bulk purchase system must be adopted by all the state governments such that you get quantity discount, and then people come to get this. I don't know why the bulk purchase system is no longer working in many states. I don't know. When we were growing up, these are the things we know about. So if you are getting kerosene outside there for, say, 20 naira, if you go to the bulk purchase department, you are likely to get it for 12 or 15. So the government have a role to play. Remember, even the government at a time in Lagos and other parts of Nigeria told civil servants not to come to work every day. Why? It means they know that their salary will not take them to work every day. So we need to be sincere with ourselves. And like I used to tell people, Mr. President is aware of the situation. Let nobody say things that the president is not saying. The president is a grassroots man. He's interested in the welfare of the people. And I can tell you, he's thinking about it every day. What we should do is to make suggestions to government and say, look, can you do something about this?
Unfortunately,
and if you ask any economist, they will tell you exchange rate is a factor in every pricing you see from the manufacturers.
Professor, All this is arising from the rebasing of the inflation. Well, I don't even know what to call it anymore. We've heard it called all kinds of things, but I will stick with rebasing of the inflation rate, which they say dropped from 34.8 to 24.4. But what is the benefit of this rebasing, since we're not feeling it so much as common people in Nigeria?
You know, that's a good question. When you say you are rebasing the GDP, all they are doing is to change the base year. Like for instance, the last time we did it in 2014, we used 2010 data. So the effort now is to rebase it and using 2019 data. To be honest with you, okay, people call it different names to factor in inflation, to account for price changes and everything. But the question I want to ask is, I want to put it back to you, is that if we rebase our GDP to 2019, before the first subsidy was removed, how will we talk about the reality of 2024? So in essence, to me, it's more symbolic than being a real thing in macroeconomics perspective. It's probably one is to try to bring in more foreign investors to assure them that actually we're having growth in the economy. And also, before I forget this, very important, is that some new sector of the economy has performed wonderfully well and might not have been included or not at the level it should have been done in 2014 and want to be done now. For instance, look at our creative economy, the arts, industrial music, entertainment, the 30 December, for instance. So those have not been factored in. But so at the end of the day, what will it be? Nigeria will be the highest GDP in Africa. It has grown by so and so. But will it tell the whole story about the quality of life of Nigerians? Unfortunately, no. And should it be used by the government as a hard data to make more economic policies? I would suggest that we should be very careful in that regard. So it's more symbolic and it's actually external oriented, that to assure foreign investors that things are happening. But then, before we said, oh, Nigeria again, South Africa, the foremost economy in Africa, also did their last one, rebased to 2016. So it's not a bad thing. But it should be done in our own case and with the level of changes we're having. Revolutionary change we have in Nigeria every 3 to 5 years. So if you do it now, I would only suggest that by the end of 2026 or 2027, we should actually do a rebase. Post first property removal.
Perhaps one of okay.
So, Professor, so if I tell myself that the inflation rate in my country is still 34%, I won't be wrong. I won't be absolutely wrong, will I?
See, it depends on what you mean by inflation rate. Remember that when you said inflation rate is 34%, compared to last year. Sometimes some countries do it every six months. So you are right. That figure, like Dr. Lee said, I'm not in a position to question it, but from the real market, from the prices, I would not agree 100% with it.
As far as the Nigerian is concerned, if bread that was supposed to be 1,000 naira is now 1,900, inflation is more than 34.8%. However, Dr. Adeoye,
bread is 2,200.
Dr. Adeoye, Festus Akimboyewa has this for you. It says, is inflation not the rate at which prices rise? If that's the case, the new inflation rate may be accurate. How do you respond?
So, like I said, when you talk of rate, you are talking of a base. So, if you are comparing 2025 with 2024, yes, you are okay. The question remains that 2024, is it a good year in pricing? The answer is no. Therefore, the little drop that you find in rate between 2024 and 2025, which is 18 February or 15 February of this year, is something very marginal. Now, what we're saying is that, yes, there is a drop in that rate. And because you are comparing let me say you are comparing half a dozen with 6, actually. That's the problem. When I use the word half a dozen, it will mean the same thing. But because 2024 is a very hot year, because of very, new policies that people have to bear with, the question in the minds of the people is not about drop in rate. My elder brother, Bismarck Rewani, I was listening to him on Channel News a few days ago, and he said transport from Lagos to Ibadan is 3,600 naira. And I have sent my team to go and do research about this, that can you enter a vehicle from Oshodi and get to Ibadan with 3,600? I found out that what we have on paper in terms of rate, consumer price index, is not what the people are looking for. People want to say bread, for example. I am an investor in a supermarket. We produce bread there. The people want to come in there and say, before now, bread is sold for, say, 2,000 naira or 1,900. Now that inflation has dropped by about 10%, can I have this bread come to 1,700? The answer is no. It becomes impossible because the supplier of flour has not gotten flour at a reduced price that is going to sell to you. So the butter, the sugar, and every other ingredient that you have has not gone down. Diesel is still there. Now, you now have to consider salaries and wages. Before now, minimum wage happens to be 30,000. Now, government is talking about 70,000. We don't even talk 70,000 in the private sector anymore now, because you know that this take home cannot take people home. Therefore, generally, people are not interested in our political, economic jargons. I use the word jargons like we have the Latin language we use in law. They are not interested. What they are interested in is how much is bread last year?
Yeah.
How much is bread now? How much is flight from Lagos to Abuja last year? How much is it now? So that's what people are interested in.
Okay.
And until government pay attention to the real sector, what is happening out there, we don't deal with rate alone. So I can wake up and say inflationary rate is 10% in Nigeria, and yet bread remains the same price, transport remains the same price. So we need to have this reflected out there.
Okay.
Please go out, do your market survey.
It's quite a lot. Yeah, but,
Yeah.
Dr. Ade, it's quite a lot. And some of the issues that you raised the other time, some factors, that affect production. I'd like Professor Rabiu to speak to it. One of the things that a number of people have asked, which Dr. Ade also spoke to, is that government needs to address some of the food supply interventions, some food supply disruptions like security in farming regions, storage infrastructure, ensuring efficient distribution channels, logistic arrangements, and all those things. And a number of people have also spoken to the fact that we depend too much on the federal government, as opposed to also looking at what state governments are doing to buffer the supply side interventions. How do you respond to that, Prof?
That's a good question, and then actually that's a solution to the problem we're having. We can debate this issue of inflation rate, GDP, how does it talk to people's quality of life. So the question is, how can the present government, what can they do to improve on people's quality of life? It's very cool. So we increase salaries and wages across board to 200,000, or can we do better? Exactly. I keep on asking people questions. Japan, for instance, is a high-cost country. I mean, a loaf of bread in Japan is about, last time I was there, it's about 5,000 naira. But the salary is so close to that as well. Is that a society we want? And if so, we maintain the high prices and we increase salaries. Because without high purchasing power, GDP will not grow. The second thing is we look towards a country like Germany, whereby efforts are being put in place to lower. The government at the moment now, like we are saying, let's look at the FG efforts before we come to state. Some states are doing well. Look at Bago, Governor Bago of Niger State. Fantastic effort. Just to make sure that looking at your comparative advantages, Niger State is big country, it's agrarian state, and they go to farming, and they're making fantastic revenue from that as well.
My challenge, Prof, if you forgive me, my challenge here is not whether or not all these initiatives have been done. It's the sustainability of them. Someone, the previous conversation, you know, some spoke about the fact that Lagos, for instance, has enjoyed some measure of sustainability that has seen a developmental trajectory over the years. Now, from one state government to the other, and this is what we have experienced down through the years at the federal level, where government after government comes with policy after policy, which gave birth to the so-called policy somersault over time. A good number of economists, such as you know, Dr. Ali has spoken on our program several times, are all speaking to one thing: until we start producing, until we become a producing and exporting nation, we'll continue to have some of these significant challenges. What are those bottlenecks that need to go, Prof? What are those bottlenecks to our production and export capacity that needs to be adjusted so that we can become a producing nation, earning forex that will hopefully bring these forex exchange rates down to reasonable levels and progressively too? Prof, that's for you. Okay, I think.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, fantastic. So, like I was saying, she mentioned transformational leadership. That's a big thing. You see, most of our people have been transactional. We can't keep on doing the same thing again and again. I expect a different result. The model that we are following, economic model, for instance, is really sustainable. You talk about sustainability. Yes. So the issue of a transformational leadership must put high premium on disruptive thinking. I use the word, I like the word disruptive thinking, where you think out of the box. And again, at the same time, you have to be very systemic. The FG, the state government and local government have to work with us, and we have to give credit to the present administration. The first president made mention about last year about this one local government, one farm settlement. And if that could be implemented, you could imagine the effect it would be on GDP. Because to grow Nigeria GDP, we have to go to the basics. The effort must start from local government. If we want to eat bread in a day, local government, it must be produced there at least. Let each local government in Nigeria produces what they consume, and it will grow. So how do we do this? So that's one thing. I mean, look, remember 2009, the OLOP, one local government, one product, that was advised by JICA, Japanese aid agency. How far have we gone with that? So so now with the local government autonomy, Nigeria industrialization must be bottom up. Okay. But okay, of course, the FG can look at the strategic sectors like the steel industry, petrochemical industry, yes. But then, I mean, our strength is in our farm, in agriculture.
At the end of the day, even the mineral resources and mineral deposits, they are in the various local governments, or even though with layers and layers of regulation and policy over them. Dr. Adeoye, how do you respond to this as we begin to wind down on this conversation? How do we get to the point of being a producing nation sustainably?
I think majorly what we need to emphasize is to walk away from the era of talking, but era of acting. Now you find out that every governor comes to the public, oh, we are focusing on agriculture, we are going to plant 1 million cocoa tree, we are going to do this, we are going to do that during the campaign. Then you now realize that when they get into power, there is no cluster that is put in place for farmers, to anybody who want to invest. So, for example, if what you look, people said, oh, my friend and colleague, we belong to so many groups together, providing economic solution to the government, albeit pro bono. The issue is that the issue of saying we produce what you consume may not be totally achievable because of comparative advantage. For example, I want to eat meat. People in the Northwest, they're very good in rearing cows. So cattle ranch investment should be more there. I need shoes. The Aba people, they are there. Other agricultural materials, tropical environment, they're available in the Southwest. Now, you find out that if not for Federal Inland Revenue Services and the Nigerian Customs Services, most states should have been shut down because they are not even doing anything serious to improve the economy. And you have all sorts of professionals within the civil services of various states that they can use. So we must stop era of just mere talking and let's begin to act. Okay. We must also have a one basket shop where if you're producing to export, you're not going to be meeting retinue of regulatory authorities. Do you know what to face with SON, with NAFDAC, with all sorts of agencies that you cannot. In fact, some will just appear to you suddenly. I recall Ofada rice was exported by a friend of mine that I helped to source in Nigeria here. In fact, it was hell getting this rice from Nigeria to Canada.
It's quite a lot, you know, Dr. Adere. It's quite a lot. And it's like we never have enough time, Alero, to look at all of these issues all the time.
That is the nature of live television.
Honestly. Okay, anyway, Dr. Adere, you are in the house, and we'll definitely beckon on you another time to be on this particular program, because this sharp drop thing, at least people are a little better informed now. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Dr. Olubenga Adere is a chartered accountant and lawyer, as well as Professor Ademola Arabiu, who is a cost engineer. We appreciate you, gentlemen, for being here this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Okay, so up next, we want to talk about food, but not in the sense you think. We talked about it earlier. See you in a bit.
The National Economic Council, NEC, has launched the Nutrition 774 initiative. Well, 774. Well, I suppose you know where that is going. And this is aimed at ensuring that all mothers and children have access to life-saving nutrition interventions. The initiative is aimed at delivering life-saving nutrition across Nigeria's 774 local government areas. Now, to give us more details about this initiative, I'd like to welcome Dr. Sonjo Faniran, who is National Convener and Director of the Social Development Office, Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, who joins us from our studio in Abuja. Dr. Faniran, good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Thank you for joining us today. Yes, initiative, Nutrition 774 initiative. And I see that this is to provide life-saving nutrition in all the 774 local governments of Nigeria. That seems to be a tall task.
Well,
yeah, Dr. Faniro, how, I mean, this is going to involve a lot of logistics, I would think. How do you intend to achieve this?
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, like you rightly said, the Nutrition 774, you know, we have 774 local governments in Nigeria. That's why it's tagged Nutrition 774. But you know, for whatever intervention that the government is doing, if it does not go to the grassroots level, we are only deceiving ourselves. And this initiative is actually it's coming from the Nutrition Council, the Nutrition Council chaired by the Vice President. That means the initiative is for the presidency. And we look at it that it is easy for people at the local government level to reach out to the people at the grassroots level. So if we say if the federal government want to achieve the best, the only way out of it is to scale down intervention to local government level and supervision and coordination by the local governments, because they are the ones that are very close to the people. And we have a structure on ground, because we have, the National Council on Nutrition has a 5-pillar strategy that want to decentralize coordination of any intervention, particularly in nutrition. So we also want to make sure that we have data and accountability for whatever we are doing on that. And then the financing. The government is interested in cascading financing to the grassroots level, and they are not taking that for granted. So, and when we say that even the government resources, the development partners, the private sector, if those resources are pulled together, then cascading nutrition intervention to local government become an easier thing. So it's not a difficult thing to do, because we already have a strategic approach to doing that. We are also looking at prioritizing nutrition. Those are the 5 pillars of the Nutrition Council of Nigeria, and then scaling nutrition down, and nutrition intervention, scaling it down to the grassroots level, the local government. Then from local government, they will go to community, the community to ward, then from ward to various household level. This thing is very easy if it is well administered, and we are working, seriously to make sure that at least whichever way we want to implement, we no doubt achieve the desired results.
Okay, Doctor,
Thank you.
What exactly do you mean by life-saving nutrition interventions? What kinds of things or foods are you going to be giving to these women and these children?
You know, when we talk of nutrition, we are looking at healthy diets. And when you talk of healthy diet, the greatest asset that a country will have is to explore the opportunities, the potentials that are available in the economy. We have those two potentials. We have the potential we have in the economy. We have the potential that we have in our people. And the only thing that can make us to achieve this is healthy diets and nutrition. Healthy diet and nutrition. So most of the life-saving intervention, we all know it. For instance, Nigeria, when you look at, the statistics of those children that are stunting, those that are wasting, so they are not encouraging. But if the right meal, if the right diet are given to children, you see there's no problem. Even adults, I want to assure you that the first 1,000 days of a child matters a lot. And if the right type of food is given to a child, it has a lot of implication on the development of that child, and even with also translating to economic growth and development. Because human capital development requires healthy diet. An healthy diet will enable children to grow the right way, the way they are supposed to. In terms of, there are so many things that are attached to healthy diet. There are so many things that are attached to nutrition. So a nutritious child, a child with a good nutrition, will definitely be able to achieve, to fulfill his or her potential, and even including, the adults. You see a lot of challenges we're having in the country now. Many people are diabetic because of their lack of healthy diet. Many people are having the hypertension, stroke, so many things. So many things are embedded in the poor attitude to diet. So the basic diet that is required for children, for women, for adults, for everybody is actually, embedded in some of these that you have actually mentioned. Thank you.
Doctor, we are told that Nigeria has one of the highest numbers of stunted children in Africa. There are approximately 10 million such children in Nigeria. I will ask that question again. You just said that you're going to give them nutritious food. What kinds of food fall in this category, which you're going to give to these children to stem this tide of stunted children in our country?
You see, yeah, you know, let me take you through the recent emergency efforts that the government has made. Let's first of all talk of vitamin A. You know, a large number of children lack vitamin A. All the necessary vitamins required that can give the required dietary requirements for children are actually not available, particularly for those that are in the rural community. And even for some that are poor in the urban city, they don't have the means of getting the right type of food. And that is why government consider it important to increase intervention in some of these dietary requirements for children, particularly for children and for women. And the essence of it is to reduce the stunting rate. You know, this, like you said now, the indicators that we're having now are not encouraging. There are some level of, projection that we have, particularly for 2025, right from the NDHS 2018 baseline, which will have 37%. Then we were now expecting by 2025, we are expecting about 18%. But today, the NDHS, the report we have, the preliminary report we have in 2024 for 2023 survey, at 40%, which has actually increased. Whereas the National Food Consumption and Micronutrients Survey gave us 33.8% in 2021. So most of the dietary requirements that are not available due to poverty, due to so many factors, actually, I mentioned vitamin A, I mentioned there are so many things. You see, when we talk of vitamin A, a lot of food requirements produce vitamin A. If a woman is breastfeeding a child, if the woman does not have the right diet, it's a problem, because the right diet will enable the baby to have the right intake from the mother. And even most of those supplements that are necessary for effective growth of a child are not, actually available to the poor ones. But government is actually trying at all costs. And that's why you see that this N774 will definitely enable government to have a clear opportunity to cascade some of these innovations, some of these interventions, some of these requirements to the grassroots level. But that can only be done through the local government. The states are also involved, because the state work with local government will work with the community. So it is this collaborative approach and bottom-up approach that we are actually looking at to enable us cascade some of these supplements that will enable the children to grow the right direction.
Doctor, this is
before age 5 and even before the first 1,000 days that they are born.
This is a huge project. How is this all going to be funded?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, no, that's a right question. You know, if we are looking at funding, we will not move. But the fact remains that there's nothing government put on ground. There's no innovation, there's no initiative that is put on ground that does not have preliminary plan. For instance, government is determined to put resources in nutrition. Nutrition is now prioritized. It's prioritized in such a way that the government has the federal government has encouraged all relevant stakeholder MDs at federal and state to have nutrition departments. We are also having that one now at the local government level. So in terms of funding, the government will put money. Then our development partners have also been encouraged to also prioritize funding and divert some of their support to nutrition in Nigeria. We are also working with the private sector. For instance, when we are planning the launch of N774, all of them were brought on board. They are already aware of what we want to do. Dangote Foundation was there. We are working with the Bill, all those, the philanthropists, they are there, and they are ready to support the initiative. Meanwhile, government also has budgetary provision to cascade this, to prosecute this initiative, and even local government level. So a lot of, at the local government will also prioritize funding for nutrition. So when each levels of government prioritize the funding, you see that the idea, what matters most now is the implementation. The implementation has been structured in such a way that the governance structure is made in a way that we have technical working group that we work at the grassroots, at the local government level, and then we also have at the national level. And we are working based on the standard operating procedure which has been developed. That standard operating procedure has some focus that we actually want to achieve, and we will not compromise it. And we are also developing an mental and financial framework that will enable us to track intervention, resources provided for, for nutrition. So in terms of resource, in terms of funding, the government is ready to prioritize nutrition, and a lot of resources will go into funding nutrition, both at the national and subnational levels. And the subnational level, as the basis, local government is very, very key, because we want to do a bottom-up approach where initiative is decentralized. When it is localized, the people at the grassroots level, they are much more, they are conscious of the reason why government is bringing some opportunities to them, and they are not taking it for granted. So I believe that we follow up with the collaboration of the government, the development partners, and the private sector. Funding N774 will not be a problem in Nigeria. Thank you.
Interestingly, I was going to ask about the involvement of the locals, and that's exactly what you just talked about. So I'd like you to expatiate a little further on it, because most of the time when these initiatives come from the federal government, it will sound like we don't have ownership of it. It didn't come from us. It's like we are just being ordered to do this. And hey, we are an autonomous, quote and unquote, autonomous government by ourselves. So we should be able to do the things that we want the way we want to do it. So is there any historical antecedents or perspectives that compels any local government, for instance, or even a state government, to take on this N774 initiative? Yes, it was something approved by the National Economic Council, which has all state governors, but it's not the first time. Issues will arise from that level, and it'll be still birthed.
Yeah, thank you very much. I agree with you. Nigeria is a federation. That has 3 tiers of governments, and each of the tiers are independent of one another. But nevertheless, when it comes to reality, all of us are moving together. And that is why you see that even the launch of the Nutrition 774 was actually done with all the 37 governors, the 36 governors, plus the FCT minister. That's what makes it 7. So, and the buy-in of the governors were actually, it was pronounced. The buy-in of the private sector was pronounced. The buy-in of the development partners are pronounced. So, in terms of implementation, once there is a structure, we already have a structure, a governance structure that will make everybody that is necessary, all relevant stakeholders, to be on board. For instance, we have a technical committee both at the state level and local government level. We have at the federal level. The nutrition policy that we have in Nigeria is clear. It's a policy. When we say a policy is natural, it means that policy was jointly developed by the federal, state, and local government. For the Nutrition 774, since inception, the local government have been carried along. For instance, during the launch about 2 days ago, you see that the president of AGO, national president of AGO, was there at the villa. At the National Economic Council, where they launched it, and he made his commitment. The chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum also made his commitment. And all these commitments are actually being made on behalf of the stakeholders within that community, within that ecosystem. Then if the president of AGO made commitment, he made it on behalf of all the local governments in Nigeria. If our development partners have made commitment, they made it on behalf of all development partners in Nigeria. And we also have the development partners group that are specifically focusing on nutrition. Then we also have at the private sector, they have committed into it. So I don't think there can be any crisis of who owns what. It is a joint initiative. It is a joint venture. It is something that we are going to handle to implement jointly. And we are having the same structure for implementation, both at the federal,
at the end of the day, Dr. Faniro, my apologies.
At the federal level, we have National Committee of Food and Nutrition.
Yeah. At the end of the day, Dr. Faniro, it all comes down to the people. There is history in this country where wonderful initiatives, are, brought from the very top or from whatever level of government, but they do not really cascade down to the people, and the people reject those initiatives. It's happened before. So what's the communication strategy to ensure that we're not just telling people what to do, we're actually giving them an opportunity to own the process so it is sustainable?
Like we have launched the initiative now, and in the course of even validating the standard operational procedure that I want to use, we invited all stakeholders, both at the state, the local government, and even at the federal. Even the legislators, they were part of this, this validation of the standard operating procedure. If we have this, that means everybody is being carried along. Now the document has been launched. The initiative has been launched. And I can assure you that we are not going to stay only at the point of launching. We are now going to start unbundling the implementation arrangement, which is already on ground, and which all stakeholders are carried along, both at the local government level, the state level, and the federal level, and the private sector, and our development partners, the donors. So that will tell you that we are using a collaborative approach to make sure that nobody is left behind. Everybody is involved. And I can assure you, and I can guarantee you, that by the time we start the implementation, for instance now, anyway from now, we are going to make sure that we also do a sort of sensitization and socialization at the zonal level. That one will bring most of our traditional rulers also on board, so that when everybody understands what we want to do, you see that everybody will rise up to, because nutrition is something that doesn't stop on children or women alone. Adults, a lot of challenges, health challenges are moving around. If we are all rise to this issue of nutrition, you see that there is no problem. So everybody is interested. It's only people where people don't have the knowledge, when people don't have what it takes to be educated on the right type of diet or the dietary requirement and healthy diet that is required for healthy living. And healthy living, when you have good health and good nutrition and good health, then you are increasing the potential, human capital capacity is being enhanced in any country. For the good workforce, you need good health, you need good education.
Indeed.
And you need healthy diet for people to say that, their potentials can be fully developed, their potentials can be fully utilized, and which is for the health of the nation, for economic growth and development, you need healthy human capital.
Indeed.
And everybody is interested in carrying this thing forward. Okay. I assure you that when it comes to making it, socializing it or making it popular, we have a lot of framework that we have on ground that we enable every Nigerian to be adequately informed and carried along and be involved even in making sure that we have a good nutrition outcome in Nigeria.
Okay. All we can do now is to wish you all the best, and we hope that you will drop by from time to time to give us a progress report on how this is all going. Thank you very much, Dr. Sonjo Faniro, National Convener and Director of the Social Development Office, Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. Thank you very much. We do appreciate your time this morning. Sunrise will return, and we shall be looking at the lifestyle segment. Blood donation. There are benefits to it. Can you believe that? See you in a moment.
Well, it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, that there are benefits to donating blood.
Can you believe that?
Not just to the people who receive the blood.
Those who are giving it.
So when you give blood, they say, you also get benefits.
Blessed are those who give.
Are those who give. In fact, I even just saw something that it has a slight effect on your weight loss.
Oh, please, women who are trying to lose weight.
I don't know whether that's direct. Well, we have Dr. Voluntary Oshikomaya here. He's a consultant.
The doctor will tell us how correct that is.
Well,
good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very, very much.
We want to talk about the benefits of blood, of voluntary blood donation. Now, underscore voluntary in this conversation because, okay, first of all, tell us about that. Why does it have to be voluntary? What's the difference?
So it's an opportunity for me to tell everybody the types of blood donation. So we have the voluntary blood donors, we have the family replacement donors, and then we have the commercial donors, which we do not encourage. So the voluntary blood donors are those that donate blood without any request for gifts or expectation for gifts or for any form of remuneration. The family replacement donors are people that donate for a particular individual or for their friends, for family, because that person needs blood at that point in time. So it might be for a pregnant woman that used to be very common and is not allowed in Lagos State again. It might be for someone that wants to have a surgery. And we have the commercial donors that do it as a form of business. Some of them do it just to get funds. Some people claim that they want to use it to get food, but many of the commercial donors actually use it for wrong reasons. They might use the money to get drugs and things. So we really do not encourage commercial donors because there really is a form of financial benefit. They lie about it. They practice unwholesome attitudes and activities to ensure that they can donate blood. So if I am donating blood because I am just doing it for good of the land or for the people that need it, then I don't have to lie about my status. I don't have to lie about if I'm eligible or not. So really, voluntary blood donors are the best. And because it's also voluntary, they come at the time they need to give blood. So they ensure that there is sustainability of safe blood in the blood banks.
Well, I hate to make this more of a, should I say, current affairs issue, because we're talking about it more as a lifestyle, but how much of a challenge is it? I'm asking because I think I saw a data somewhere that says X percentage of any population should be able to donate blood. How much of a challenge is it in Lagos? So
World Health Organization expects that 1 to 2% of the population in any environment should be able to donate blood.
1 to 2%?
1 to 2%, yes.
So if we say, for instance,
is that our case?
Yes, same thing with Nigeria. That is the ideal value, but in Nigeria, generally, we are very, very, very far from it.
Which is the reason for this conversation.
Yes. There isn't so much awareness about blood donation.
Yes.
Because I'm sure there are many who would like to donate because, I mean, one time or another, we all go through a relation, you know, having surgery, and there's the running around looking for blood. So we're beginning to appreciate the fact that if we donated, there'll be blood for others to use, so that when we also need, there'll be blood for our relations to use.
So you're right about poor awareness generally about blood donation generally, much more voluntary blood donation. So I'm even very, very happy that you've called us here to talk about it so that everybody knows that you need to donate blood voluntary. But apart from that, in Africa generally, there's really a poor blood donation culture. So some people know they should donate blood, but they don't want to donate blood. There are lots of fears, there are lots of myths against blood donation. So when we go out there, we try to demystify, we try to tell people the truth about it, that really blood donation, there's nothing to be scared about. Some of them have had myths told to them from when they were very young.
Such as?
Well, okay, blood donation is painful. That is both a myth and a fact. The needle prick can be a bit painful, yes. Yeah. But really, apart from that, there's nothing. There's this myth that if you donate blood, you will fall sick and you might die. But that's not true. People donate blood. We have people that have donated more than 100 units of blood, and they still look young. Instead, there are benefits. People that donate blood regularly actually look younger. They look fit. They're fine, you know, because one of the benefits of donating blood is that your bone marrow has an opportunity to produce younger and more vibrant cells. well. So young, vibrant is able to do everything you should do, pick up excreted products where it should go to, provide oxygen to your organs, and the person generally looks better and things like that. So and then there's another one that really is very funny, that if you donate blood, you will not be able to get give birth, okay, get people pregnant, especially for the males. That procreation is, it's even funny. We have some very, very, very funny ones that really, we try to demystify it. Like, look, it's not true. Just give it a trial.
You have to give us a compendium of those myths, so that maybe from time to time we'll also put it out. But please tell us about these benefits. I hear you say that people look younger.
Yeah.
So some people who are old should donate blood.
There is a age range to blood donation, really.
Oh, okay.
So if you can only donate blood if you are between the ages of 18 and 65, and if you are a first-time donor, you must have donated blood before 60 years old. And if you want to do that, your doctor must give you a clean bill of health.
So Alera cannot donate blood now?
Well, she looks like a 50-year-old person, Max, so she might be willing to donate blood.
Maybe in the spirit. Well, go ahead.
Okay, so that is just it. Apart from the age, you must have a particular weight. You must be at least 45 kilograms for you to donate blood. And if you are 45 kilograms, we will take less than the person that is 50 kilograms. You must generally be healthy, fine, no fevers, and then your blood level must be at least 12.5 grams per deciliter. So we must check your blood level. If you have enough for yourself as well as enough to give others. So those are the minimal requirements to donate blood. With respect to the benefits, the first thing is that you are saving a life. There's nothing as good as doing good. When you do good, you are doing something really nice. There's this feeling of achievement, there's this feeling of,
Definitely.
You've done something good. And there's this study that says that regular blood donors do not have mental health disorders. And I always say, if you are living in Lagos, where there is a lot of stress, please donate blood. It's going to ensure that you don't have anxiety or depression. So because you are doing good and you are, you feel you're saving lives.
There's a feel-good.
There's this feel-good, feel-good feeling.
Yes.
And so it helps your mental state. And I mentioned that your bone marrows have an opportunity to produce more blood. If peradventure a voluntary blood donor loses blood for whatever reasons, they are able to recover from that blood loss faster than someone that does not donate blood regularly. Also, before you donate blood, because you have to do a general health check, talk to healthcare providers, and fill this very long set of questions, you're having a mini health check. Many people don't like going to the hospital, especially because many people pay out of pocket and they don't want to pay for consultation. So if you are going to donate blood, you have an opportunity for that mini health check, both like a consultation as well as a test. You do your blood pressure, you do your weight and things like that. And if there is need to do extra tests, we're able to refer you to a healthcare facility or a healthcare practitioner to do further tests. Blood donation has been able to help people to uncover potential health problems, like someone that has diabetic mellitus that didn't know. I was filling the question, I was like, oh, I have not been sleeping well, or I use the toilet often. No, we are able to tell them, oh, this is the first thing. It rings a bell that you need to see a doctor, someone that says, I've been coughing on and off for a while, or someone that feels that, oh, I think I've been losing weight and it is not deliberate, then we have to investigate. We also have conditions that involves having too much blood or too little blood. So if you have too much blood, which is not good, we need to send you to the dermatologist for you to be well reviewed. So there are so many potential healthcare and potential diseases that we could uncover, and much more. There are studies that shows that because people that donate blood regularly, because it helps to stabilize your iron level, there's a lesser incidence of cardiac diseases and cancers. And what is much more than being able to do whatever it takes to ensure that you don't have that risk of developing cancers or cardiac diseases.
Okay, so somebody walks in and wants to donate blood.
Yeah.
You test them, do several tests. Do you test the blood at that stage?
Yes, we
to
do.
know before you actually take it?
So there are different tests that are done to blood before you take blood. So if you are a replacement donor or you are a commercial donor, which we don't encourage, you must have your your viral test done. Okay. So a bit of blood will be taken. But if you're a voluntary blood donor, the only thing we'll check for is your blood level. And that is just a pinprick on any of your fingers. Okay. And then we just check it up within 5-10 seconds using a point of care test called a hemoglobinometer. You will know the level of your test, your blood.
But will you know whether the person has HIV at that stage?
Yes, so if you use a rapid test kit, especially in the hospitals, you will know. So, but for voluntary donors, we don't need to do all that because they will answer those questions. They will tell you if they have been involved in a risky activity or presently or in the past.
Because they are expected to say the truth.
Yeah, they always say the truth. Our voluntary donors always say the truth. They are the best. I celebrate them all the time. They are heroes. You will know if there is a problem, and they will declare if there is anything that they've done that is wrong.
Okay. There is this question from Adeomi Olujemison. Says, I will assume that before blood is donated, it will be tested to confirm it's usable. Yeah. What I want to know is if a donor's blood is tested and found unworthy, sick, or whatever, what's going to happen to the supposed donor?
So two things happen. If the blood level is too much. I talked about a referral system. So there is a referral system. And that's why we encourage that blood is donated within a healthcare facility. So if the blood is too much, we refer it to the hematologist. If the blood is not adequate, we give you multivitamins at that point and also teach you about lifestyle changes. Eat very well, take vegetables, hydrate very well, do exercises, and check back to know your level. If there are any positive or any reactive viral tests, we also refer you to the specific clinic, maybe the family health physicians, or refer you directly to the HIV clinic or hepatitis clinic for you to confirm. Because you know that rapid test kits might give a false result or a false positive result. So we always have to confirm first before we refer them for the specific treatment. So whatever it is that has not allowed you to be eligible to donate blood will be sorted at that time. You do not go back because it's a health check. You don't go back without having a solution to whatever has made you not to be able to donate blood.
What Diri says, why do hospitals sell the blood at high cost? Since they're getting it for free. I know for a fact that sometimes they don't get the blood for free, they have to buy.
So really, as I always say, blood is like crude oil, understand? You do a lot of things before you get that blood, and the blood must be processed. So when you're going to get the blood, it is for free, but you must use some very expensive consumables. You must use blood bags, you must use needles, syringes, gloves, cotton wools, and when the blood is collected, we do all those tests too. The money you pay is actually the money to do those tests for the consumables and to ensure that the blood is well processed. And then thereafter, after doing those pre-donation tests, the blood is stored in some very specialized refrigerators. And finally, it is screened with a World Health Organization approved technology. Those things don't come cheap. So you pay for those tests.
You know, there's this thing that I've also heard. First of all, if someone wants to go donate blood now, where are the places that they go to?
So you can donate blood at any of the 3 Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service voluntary donation centers. One is inside Wagada General Hospital. We have one inside the General Hospital Lagos, and we have one at the Lagos State Accidents and Emergency Center. Apart from those voluntary donations,
where is that, in Lassus?
No, Lagos State. No, it's at on the way Lagos, very close to 7-Up. The Lagos State Accident and Emergency Center.
Oh, okay. Close to the toll gate.
Close to the toll gate, yes. Yeah. Okay. So we have voluntary donation centers there, but much more than that. You can donate blood at Lassus. So it's a tertiary healthcare facility. We have competent people that can collect blood there. You can also go to any of the general hospitals. If you do not want to go to the public health facilities, we have big secondary private healthcare centers, which I do not want to mention their name. Just tell them that. Ask them if they collect blood, if they are registered by the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service. Ensure you see the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service logo to be sure that those people have been well trained. You can also donate blood there.
What if because I know from some of the activities we see online occasionally, you do what you call blood drives. So you go from place to place. So what if Alero's club, right, they want to do group blood donation, and they don't want to go to your center? They want you to come. Does that happen?
Yes, it happens. About 90% of the blood collected at the blood transfusion service is collected outside the facility. We like to come to meet you. We don't want to stress you. You don't have to come into the facility. So once you want to do that, just communicate with the Lagos Blood Transfusion Service. You can check us up on all our social media handles and just drop a message for us. We'll communicate with you. Tell us where you want it to happen, when. We will come first to spend some time to give you an advocacy or an awareness talk, because many people do not know why they need to donate blood, what to do before they donate blood, and how the blood donation process is. So we always ensure that we spend some time to educate the prospective donors. A first-time donor is the most delicate person, is the most, we need to really educate them, because whatever we tell them will determine if they will come back to donate blood. Once we do that, then we'll bring up all our equipment, the donor couches, the equipment, the manpower, the souvenirs, the refreshments, everything is being handled by the service to ensure that blood is collected safely. So
someone is watching now, they have a company of, say, 500 staff.
Yeah.
And they want to have, because hey, it's just the beginning of the year, and a good number of organizations, are also beginning to encourage their, staff to do good, so to speak. So, what do they do?
Same thing with
they check out. They check you out on social media.
Check out on social media, or they can blood transfusion service. You have our Instagram handle there, Facebook as well as Twitter, and LinkedIn too. Just type in Lagos Blood Transfusion Service. Handles will come up and you can send us a message. Much more, if it is a big organization, we encourage them to send 1 or 2 people to see what we do, because you can reach out to us and still not understand exactly what we do.
On that, say somebody wants to donate blood, you know that they will be afraid.
Yeah.
In fact, I've had to, see that their chair. In fact, that chair is scary. For some people, that's chair.
That chair is beautiful. Which of the chairs?
It can be fine and scary. You haven't seen beautiful hospital before. Who likes to go to hospital? So tell us what happens. So I come, I want to donate blood. I say I want to donate blood, or whether to your center or to wherever you want us to come, I come there, I want to donate blood. What's the process?
So the first thing is somebody welcomes you. We tell you, welcome, come. No, there's nothing as good as you come in and you have people to make you feel at ease. So you come, we tell you to sit down, and then you spend some time to answer those questions. So there's this donor eligibility questionnaire. While answering those questions, somebody's beside you explaining those questions for you in case you have an issue with those questions. After that, somebody will counsel you. So there's a pre-donation counseling. That pre-donation counseling is critical for people that have underlying anxiety, because we have people that are fit, they can donate blood, but once they get to that chair or once they see the needle, they're like, oh, I cannot donate blood. So that is a part where we try to put that person at ease. Sometimes we show them pictures of people that have donated blood before. We show them documentation of people that have donated before. So that's some of the things that assures the person that there is no problem. We show the person the blood bag, that this blood bag will be open in front of you, so it's not shared. The needles are not shared by people. It's a very, very septic process. We've had our gloves on. There are lots of flyers in that place. So even if you are not sure, you can read through those flyers and ask further questions you have not been able to. So just a lot of talking, assurance, and after that, then you can watch some TV. So if you are still not very comfortable, just tell you to relax. There's music, there's television in all our donation centers. So, and while you are doing that...
I recall that all this happened when I donated blood,
so that's
about 20 years ago.
So that's 20 years ago, and that's why we encourage voluntary blood donation.
Things have changed.
Yes, we make our voluntary blood donors feel very comfortable. Some of them don't want to leave. We even have games for them to play. So we tell you, come with your friends, come with everybody. You play your games, you talk to the staff there. So it's all about putting you at ease and for you to see that people have done it before, you can do it and you can save lives.
How many minutes does it take per person?
So it depends on where we are starting from. The question answering part might take a while, especially if you are doing it for the first time. But from the time the needle goes into your skin to when the blood bag fills up, maximum 5 minutes. Yep.
You collect my blood that fast?
5 minutes is not very fast.
Vampires.
So yeah, they're pumping, maximum 5 minutes. Vampires. And that's why we can collect as much as 200 or 250 units of blood in a day. We do that regularly. For that company, that's about 500 staff. We can collect at least 250 units in a day. All we need is to have adequate staff and enough donor couches. So once you fill the forms, you're on that couch, you're ready, the needle goes in, we monitor, within 5 minutes, the blood is collected. We give you another 5 minutes to relax on that couch before we move you to the final place where you can relax for a much longer period.
So what do you...
Recovery room.
So no, we don't call it recovery, we call it the post-donation counseling.
Okay.
Post-donation counseling.
All right.
After you collect this in my eye, now be like this.
No, so if you eat well, that's why we must eat well before you donate blood. Because once you donate blood, you're also losing some glucose, you're losing a lot of things. So eat well before you donate blood. Rehydrate well. If you don't eat, you don't collect your blood. It's not possible.
Well, we could go on and on with this woman because before you know what is happening now, I'll say, yeah, take blood, take blood, take blood.
I'm going to take your blood very soon.
Oh, Jesus. And thank you so much for your time this morning. I look forward to, you know, a lot of people because it's very, very sad that a population like Lagos has an average of 20 million. How many are you able to collect?
In a year, the maximum we've collected is about 130,000.
How many should you be collecting?
We should be collecting at least 200,000 if we are accusing the 20 million number. We are much more than 20 million in Lagos State.
Okay. Don't let that National Population Commission issues here. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Dr. Bodrin Oshikumaya is a consultant, hematologist, as well as Executive Secretary, Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service. Thank you so much for your time today. Okay. The next guest, our home stretch.
It is.
Yes, is celebrating 20 years of something. That's up when we return.
Did you recognize that chap who was singing there?
20 years ago. Yeah, I do.
Maybe you did. His name remains Tosin Martins. Good morning.
Absolute
Tosin.
pleasure to be here, Auntie
It's
Alera.
just that we haven't...
I call her Auntie Alera.
We haven't heard from him in a long time. Where have you been?
I've been doing what you saw. I've been...
At least you're not doing to and fro.
Have you been towing and froing?
I'll be honest about that. I've been doing that. And then these days I'm pastoring church, so it's a bit more. That's a bit more handful.
Now we understand.
Martins is now a pastor.
I've actually kind of always been, but maybe more full time.
Please, Pastor Tosin.
It's okay. Tosin Martins is fine.
Please welcome
Pastor S.A.N.
I do his being mischievous.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
But don't forget that Tosin actually studied law.
Can you imagine?
And he was actually called to the bar.
Can you imagine?
Why
did you go to law school if you were not going to practice?
Maybe I don't like the bar.
He went to the bench.
He doesn't like the bar. Which bar?
Which bar? Which one? Oh, okay. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let me be honest.
Yeah.
My favorite song that you did was not Olomi.
Oh, interesting.
Mine was...
I'm always happy when I meet people like you.
Made in Nigeria.
Amazing. Yeah. So that makes you the second person. My very big brother. No, quite a number of you. I mean, that saying this more openly. Lagbaja at the time. Yes, I went to honor an invitation at Motherland when Motherland was
when Motherland was the thing in
the
Lagos,
thing,
in my youth.
last Friday of every month. So
yes,
I was a guest on one of the Valentine's editions performing for him, and he walked up to me and said, "You know what? My best song of you ever is Made in Nigeria." It was
that song is in the class.
Lisa, do we have Made in Nigeria? I don't think I've heard it.
No, you may not like it because it is a Fuji.
It was quite an experiment. Fuji and some pop music put together at the time.
It's evergreen.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I think all our viewers will remember that.
Yes,
one.
yes, everybody remembers
Probably
that.
as old as I am, but...
no.
Please. When the low me came out, you were...
It is old, but it is still...
pristine. Tell us about the backstory to the song.
So I always say that I think it's just God's way of giving me a mention. Because it doesn't make sense. The song is bigger than me. I sometimes struggle to relive and rethink that moment when it just came in one fell swoop. That, you mean you wrote this song? I like to describe it this way: it's like something in the air, and anybody who was just tuned would have got it. It didn't make sense to me. It's one song that's become my definition. I try everything to get people to listen to other things I've done, like what you're saying, Olomi. And sometimes people will put in so much expense to fly you some nation in the world, and you get there. Olomi. I'm saying, have you heard this one? I don't want to. Olomi.
I know what's interesting. We'll probably come back to it because I know it's one of the,
it's like the reasons we had it.
Okay, so Alera, so here's the thing. I just talked about Made in Nigeria.
Yes.
As he said, Made in Nigeria has Fuji, has pop.
Yes, absolutely.
If I has you remember this song by You're Gonna Be Starting Something?
Michael Jackson. So that was
it's in that song.
Absolutely.
And that's definitely nothing you will find in Fuji. Then he did another one titled that you know the song, Happy Day.
Yes.
So just imagine a happy day.
Apala infusion, yeah, at the time.
Having Apala.
Oh, happy day.
So you are an experimentalist musician.
I have a friend who says you're a scientist when it comes to music. I love to play with sounds, yeah.
So then there has to be a reason you are in music and not at the bar, not drinking.
All along, music. I think music found me and not the other way around. I was never one of those people who, from the get-go, decided I was going to sing. But this must have been maybe in my elementary school years. I was in the bathroom one day and I heard myself singing. I'm like, wait, in Palm Grove, I can sing? And then my mom came and said, was it you I just heard singing? I said, yes. She said, oh, wow. So that registered something. So years later, when I got into secondary school, of course, because I'm by dint of, family background, education, I speak relatively decently. So people keep saying, you're a bit thorough, quite, incisive when you take on an issue, you argue quite a bit. Don't you think you'd be a lawyer? Naturally. We went that route. I became a lawyer. My eldest brother is a lawyer, so just followed the tradition. And then it was a struggle to finish. Because I'll be in class, in jurisprudence class, and I'm hearing songs, I'm writing, and I just know my poor mom, if you don't finish this law school, it's going to be trouble. So I did my best to just finish for them. As soon as I finished, I went to serve. Exactly. And I even went as far as I even went to law school. I was called to bar. In fact, by every standard of measurement, I should be an attorney general because I was called to bar in 2003. To now, that should be about 22 years. I served with Professor Shimajo. He taught me evidence. So I'm a thoroughbred in that sense. But, I mean, music just caught me by the jugular. It refused. I tried everything. So as soon as I left, I told my mom, my brother was as upset as you are. What do you mean? Why would you make us... I'm sorry. But he then told me, give me a threat. If you succeed, maybe. So when the song was all over the place, next time I get a call. When you hear your own brother calling you by your full name, Tosin Martins, I know there are people there he's trying to boast. So I guess you succeeded.
So, but this song, Olomi, that's going on under our voice, was released what year in particular?
2025. Recorded 2023, 2024, but released 2025.
And
so
why?
the song is actually 22, 21 years old, but it's 20 years old officially. It was played for the first time by my very dear friend, late Dan Foster. That's the man I think, you know, gave me my first, you know, outing, and such a dear friend. He played it for the first time February 14th, 2005.
How many girls
Valentine
in your life after that?
Between then and now?
Yeah. No, and let's stick with then.
Let's just say a lot of water has passed under the bridge. Somebody won, so let's stay with the victor. And she's been winning for the last, in August, it'll be 19 years. So
you didn't answer his question.
I answered it.
I know, not this question. What is the backstory?
Oh, okay. So the backstory was
to this song.
The backstory essentially was I think it was one Saturday afternoon in Surulere. I don't play the piano. I play percussions, local percussions more, and I just like to fiddle on the piano, and that's why I said in one moment I've never had that kind of experience before. It was like it just everything came in one moment. I developed it, of course, over time, and then when I went to Gusau at the time in the years of Yerima, I went to serve there. I had this whole community of coppers who, whenever they heard me sing the song, belting it out from the bathroom. I had 5 homes. We cooked rice. This one would say, no, we made eba. I said, okay, no, have you washed your clothes? So I had homes just because people wanted to hear me sing the song. So for a whole year, I had the opportunity of singing it every day. The song had fans for a year. So by the time we got on radio, the guy, it's our song. So it was something. It was
and
something.
now, 20 years after.
Yes.
20 years this month.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
How does that feel?
Humbling, and at the same time a lot of gratitude, because honestly not many artists get that privilege in their life to do that 1, 2, 3, whatever number of songs that last this long. As recently as 2 days ago, I still got a call. Somebody was going to come and sing it at their wedding. It's unbelievable. Even I'm tired of it.
You can't be tired of it. No.
They love it. So I'm grateful to God. It's unbelievable.
But now you have a remix of it.
Yes, we have a remake.
Tell us why.
The point was to introduce it to a new generation of people. Their heads are in a different kind of sound. So let's marry that a bit with what you know typically. So we retained some essential bits of the old song, and then just introduced a bit of some more new kick and bite to it. And then we had, of course, the face, the darling of love songs. Now, whatever you thought I was then, he's the guy now, Johnny Drill. So Johnny Drill is in it. And just about a year ago, a young lady, an Indian lady called Mega Gopikutan, she was on what you would liken to idols in India, and just went viral singing Olome. People are wondering, Olome, an Indian girl. Yeah. So I went on social media, looked for her, found her, only to find out that her parents are actually in Nigeria. They're Indians who work in Nigeria. So for a brief period, she was here. And that was the song that music teacher used to train her with. So she loved it a lot. She sang it for her competition in India.
No copyright issues?
No, I think I saw that video.
Yes, and she did quite well. And
okay, so this is the slide of the song.
Yes. Young girl, she's in India now. And she jumped on the song. And
I hope this thing, because when I heard her, wait a minute, are you sure that this is not some, you're not going to have those Indian bends?
Oh, yeah, she did. She did it.
In the song?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, my producer wants us to hear a bit of it. Has to land. If the song doesn't land and you venture into it, the top guy, the head of program is going to come for you.
Exactly.
A radio. That's the land. Okay, so this is where we are now. Where do you go next with this particular? Hey, that's the Indian lady.
Yes, sing it. so we have an event planned for June the 28th to celebrate this milestone, basically. And incidentally, that's also my birthday. I turned 47 on the day, still a young boy. So we would have a celebration of the day. Hopefully, at the Terra Culture, we'll have everybody come and then just.
Is that all we're expecting from?
So that's as far as celebration event goes. A video should follow up soon. We're doing a music video soon, and then we've just shot a documentary. My first foray into what you call film, and it's to curate the impact of the song, interactions with the song by people who are professionals in the industry, some fans, people whose weddings I sang at. We did some vox pop, just basically to curate the impact of the song over the last 20 years, and we had quite a people. Ali Baba is on it, Funke Buckner, Johnny Dream, Timmy Dakolo is
very
on
surprised.
it. Name it, Shegun Johnson. Quite a lot of people are on it, just sharing their bit, how they interact with the song.
If Ali Baba is not on it, I'll be very, very surprised. Anyway,
okay, that's a big fan.
You've been singing now for, well, can I say forever?
Well, 1986 till now. Professionally, 97
the
till
few
now.
years that you went to school and studied law. So you've been singing.
Yes, ma'am.
There must have been some challenges along the way.
Oh, absolutely. Quite a lot of it. Of course, I'll call it a passenger of time, for want of a better description, because at the time we put out Tolomi, artists from that era was just the beginning of the surge of social media streaming platforms. So we didn't get the kind of reward that today's artists are getting. So maybe now, the things that we do now can get those kind of streaming things and all of that. It was purely the era of record labels, marketers, and the like. That was an
airplay.
Exactly. And if you didn't get it, that's it. So it's never a function of you are not doing something, it's that it's not being heard. So I was blessed to have people like them forced to support it because they believed in it. It's tougher now, so that's been a challenge. Also, of course, family, it was quite a bit to say, you're not doing law, you're doing music. But my mom was very supportive all along. And in fact, she played my first studio session. So, so thanks to mommy for that. And then, of course...
Is she watching?
No, I don't think she's watching, but I'm sure we can copy it sometime when you upload it and she can see. And then, of course, the struggles of an artist, moments when you're wondering if this is the right thing you're doing, when you're not getting that kind of recognition that you think you should get for the effort that you put in. Every artist goes through those undulations up and down and all of that, but God has been faithful. And of course, joining that with the fact that I've always been a ministry person. In fact, those who went to school with me didn't think I was going to go straight to music. They thought I was going to pastor, because I was a fellowship president in school. I was in school with the likes of Pastor Bolaji, who were colleagues in school. So I'm back to that now. So I didn't leave.
Where did you study law, by the way?
University of Lagos. That's the place to study law. I mean, I can't imagine.
Don't let them come for you. I'm not even gonna.
I'm waiting for them.
I agree. So, when it comes to law, it is Lagos.
You can't study law.
Now, there are those who will say, okay, you're a ministry person now.
Yes, I've always been.
Clergy now.
Oh, I've always been.
Fully now. Then you are just Tosin. Now, so there are those who say that's just a love song. There is no God in it, so to speak. Made in Nigeria.
So I don't want to go.
I'm
coming to go to that part. That's one of the struggles, actually.
I'm coming here. So, Made in Nigeria is a very, very patriotic, very patriotic song.
Absolutely.
And the only one that I remember that is called gospel, which could have been sung by Whoopi Goldberg for all I care, is Oh Happy Day.
Yes.
And except for that, and in fact, I don't know if you heard him on that song, you would not believe he's the same person that did the first part and the second part.
Yeah.
And even if the Olomi song, it will be different. So, are we going to be having just strictly gospel now from the Tosin Martins, or we're going to continue to have...
So let me explain my person. And this has cost some... That's one of the challenges that I've faced. So people really feel you're not exactly gospel.
You're not exactly
which one are you? So that's how we are. We're that compartmentalized. And I've tried my best to explain to everybody who cares to listen. I see the total person. my reality finds expression in my music. As a husband to my wife, that's the love singer. As a pastor to the church, and a Christian who proselytes, who believes in sharing my faith with other people, that's the gospel singer. So if you decide you want to put all of that together and come up with one appellation, I would gladly receive it.
Otherwise, we can compartmentalize you.
Exactly.
You'll take it as well.
I will take it. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't extricate myself from those realities of my life. And they're all pushes, buttons that help inspire me to write something.
We have about a minute. Music generally in Nigeria today has gone very, very
amazing.
Far.
It's gone nuclear.
Yes, it's the best time.
So, but what would be your advice, particularly in the area of the landmines that younger artists may need to navigate?
I'll say something. Say something that would outlive you. Because when I've noticed that with the evolution of music, one time it was Jamaica, at a time it was India, now it's our turn. Nigeria being the remained because he said something.
Yeah.
Trends will fade away. You can use all of those things, but say something. Say something that resonates with people globally, that speak to things that will last. Yeah.
Okay.
Pastor Tosin Martin.
We all are.
Thank you very much.
My absolute pleasure. So good to see you. You look so well.
I am so happy to see you.
It's like I
again.
took you away.
Yeah, she's just 50.
Thank you very much,
Tosin. We both know that.
And Tosin Martins closes Sunrise for this day. Thank you for spending your Saturday morning with us. We hope that you will spend the next Saturday morning with us again. I am Alero Edu, wishing you all the best in good health until we meet again next week.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a good rest of your life. Bye for now.